Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion.
On this episode, we talk theme park memories. You're listening to episode 102 of the Theme Park Duo podcast.
Prepare yourselves for an unforgettable encounter.
Hi, and welcome to the Theme Park Duo podcast. Grab your park map, churro, and hop in line with us as we take you on a coast-to-coast adventure through the world of theme parks, haunts, conventions, and more. Now, here's your hosts, Nikki and Gabriel.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Theme Park Duo podcast. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Gabe.
And we are the Theme Park Duo.
Welcome, everybody, to our second episode of the season 5 of this adventure into themed entertainment.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys tuned into our last episode where we had Kevin Cobb filled on to talk Hall of Presidents.
This is a really good talk.
It was a good talk.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed our kind of in-depth dive into what we truly believed about the attraction and how it stands as an attraction. So if you guys haven't listened to that episode yet, make sure you go and listen to it on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. And if you guys are enjoying it, make sure you rate and review the show on iTunes. It helps us out. It brings us up higher in the standings. It makes it easier for everybody to enjoy us like you are right now. But today's episode, we have something that's much lighter, if you will. It is the fruit compared to the chocolate. One's a little bit heavier, one's a little bit lighter and fruity. I don't know what I'm saying.
I don't know what you're saying either. I was so confused. My face turned from like a smile to
I have
a confused,
food in my face right now, so I'm thinking food.
Grimace. Yeah.
Grimace?
Grimace.
Like the purple monster
No,
grimace?
like the facial expression.
Oh, I thought you were saying you turned into Grimace.
No, I know that never happened.
I'd be the Hamburglar. No. So our topic today is more on the positive side of things. You know, there's been a lot of just negativity swirling around and stuff like that. We think that doing an episode just about the positives it will help lighten the spirits up just a little bit. So the episode is all about theme park memories. You know, we all build memories at these theme parks regardless of whether we're with friends, family, significant others, you know, whether it's a food you ate or a ride you went on or a memorable experience with a team member or cast member. Those memories are going to be forever with you. So we wanted to do that. And we actually had listeners of the show submit their memories. So we have some people who listen to the show and some other people who listen to the show that you may have heard of as well. So really excited to bring that to you guys. But first, let's jump into the
Theme Park Bulletin.
So first up on the Theme Park Bulletin is almost like an update to our previous Theme Park Bulletin news from the last episode.
About Disneyland.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like everything that we assumed about it came true.
Yeah.
So Disney released some information and quite a lot of pictures that Nikki has been drooling over since we started recording.
Mickey pretzels are my favorite thing ever.
They are with cheese, the nacho cheese.
Yeah,
specifically.
it has to be with nacho cheese.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they released the information about the event. You know, the food, the price, the runtime, everything. So this thing says, it's time to experience some of the sights, sounds, and flavors of the Disneyland Resort with a touch of Disney. Which, by the way, how do you feel about that name?
No, I don't like it.
I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah.
It's
a
not
taste of Disney. Do you think they didn't want to use taste because Knox used
probably.
taste?
Probably.
Yeah.
But a taste of Disney fits better because it's not just a touch of Disney because you're in DCA eating the food, meeting the characters. It isn't just a touch of it. You're there.
Yeah.
You know, the shows are closed, but I mean, still, I don't know. The name is weird for me.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, A Touch of Disney, a new limited capacity ticketed experience that begins March 18th at Disney California Adventure Park. A Touch of Disney offers some of the world famous food and beverages from around the resort, plus a chance to see Disney characters shop for the latest Disney merchandise and pose at unique photo locations. A selection of iconic food and beverage items from both Disneyland Park and Disney California Adventure Park will be available for you to enjoy, from churros and the world-famous Dole Whip to the classic Monte Cristo sandwich. By the way, people, it's Monte Cristo, not Monte Crisco. Stop saying it that way. Oh my god. I'm going to have to bring back Park Peeves just to talk about that.
Well, Monte Cristo.
It's not Monte Crisco's. Sandwich, which usually found in New Orleans Square. Many items will be served snack-sized, so you can delight in a variety of bites and sips from midday through the evening. These guest favorites will be available at locations around the park, including Smoke Jumper's Grill, Adorable Snowman Frosted Treats, Award Wieners, Cocina Cucamonga, to name a few, and 6 seasonal and creatively themed marketplaces. Keep an eye out for a Touch of Disney foodie guide at the Disney Parks blog. Select retail locations also will be open, selling the latest apparel, accessories, souvenirs, including new adorable Disney's Numos. I think that's how you pronounce it. Pop in and out of the shops along Buena Vista Street, blah, 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 blah. You get the gist. Buy all their stuff.
I think it's Nuimos.
Nuimos?
Yeah.
Nuimos.
Yeah.
So, and then while you explore the park, capture photos at iconic locations and discover new photo-worthy spots, some that are available only if you attend A Touch of Disney. You might catch a wave from Mickey Mouse and see some of his pals in unexpected settings. Literally, they're just going to be like in the middle of the loop of the roller coaster. Like the most absurd locations. They're like sitting on the edge of Guardian's Tower or something. They're just like in the stupidest locations. So the dates, it begins March 18th, and then it's Thursday through Mondays from noon to 8 p.m. Pricing is an introductory price of $75. Tickets, which include admission, parking for the experience at Mickey and Friends parking structure, unlimited downloads of Disney PhotoPass photos taken during the day of the experience, and a $25 Touch of Disney dining card valid towards the purchase of food and non-alcoholic beverages, subject to restrictions, including not valid for alcohol. Ticket prices are subject to change.
So you know you're going to need more than $25.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include alcohol.
Yeah. And it says tickets. A Touch of Disney tickets will be available at Disneyland.com beginning March 4th for select days from March 18th through April 5th, 2021. Tickets for this experience will be released on dates on a rolling basis until the experience ends. Tickets must be purchased in advance and online at Disneyland.com for specific dates. And then it also says that reservations for Lamplight Lounge, Carthay Circle Lounge, alfresco dining will be able to be made beginning March 11th. So, and then at a certain point, they're actually going to be closing Buena Vista Street as a portion of Downtown Disney because of this experience.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, it looks like it'll be closing beginning of March 15th. So that's when they close, and they're going to start getting ready right before the event opens.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So let's break this down a little bit. That's a lot of information to kind of take in. The biggest thing that, everybody's kind of talking about right now is that ticket price. I do have to say that when you're looking at a $75 ticket price just to go in, that's a bit daunting.
Yeah. It's hard because in Disney terms, that's a steal. But
even a lot of Disney people are actually saying like that's a ripoff.
No, it's a lot of money. It's a good
chunk of money.
Yeah.
So let's break it down a little bit more into bite-sized pieces, as they like to say.
Oh, clever.
So the $75 includes parking at Mickey and Friends, which right now parking has been reduced to $10. So bump $10 off of that. That's $65. And then you get a $25 Touch of Disney dining card. So that goes towards food. That's built into the price. So take it down another $25, which brings you to what, 40? And then it also includes unlimited downloads from Disney PhotoPass, which that's usually part of FastPass Plus. They're not separate.
Yeah.
So what is that? Normally like 10, 20 bucks?
I think 15.
15? We'll just say on the expensive side, we'll say 20.
Yeah.
We'll say 20. So bump another off of that. So that's paying $20 to enter California Adventure.
Yeah.
To spend $25 on food.
Which
now that doesn't sound horrible. Like if you're breaking it down like that and all the value put into that, $20 to enter, not so bad. But there's a couple issues that I'm kind of running into when we're looking at it from this perspective. Is it isn't a tasting card like Knott's Berry Farm where it's 5 tastings, 6 tastings, 7, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and we don't know what they're going to charge for each item.
Yeah.
If it's $5 a food item,
no tax included.
No tax, then you have 5 tastings. But what if it's $8.99 or $10? You know, we don't know what these things are going to be priced at.
And they said bite-sized.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be huge. I would assume that they might be closer to what they serve at Food and Wine, which isn't huge, but it's an okay amount. It makes you feel satisfied.
But still, think of the Food and Wine prices. Like those that really bite-sized thing that you get at Food and Wine is like usually like around $9.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive.
So you can get 2.5 things with that $25 if it stays that price.
Yes.
So you are probably going to want to reload that food card, and it's going to add up, especially if you want alcohol. That's a separate charge. And so introductory price of $75, and then you'll probably be spending more, which they want you to.
So, like that whole point of it not being tasting cards as opposed to like a set price, like gift card almost. Somebody put this on Twitter very, very poignantly, and I completely agree. It's a way to get you to spend more money, because either way you're going to have money left over on it, or you're going to have to reload it to buy something else.
And you'll still probably have money left over at the end of the day.
And you probably might, yeah. So it's a way of getting you to spend more money, which is smart on their end. Might look a little weird for us as the consumer, but when it comes to the event as a whole, it's really about perceived value.
Yeah.
And that really comes down to the person. For us personally, there's no value in this for us. We'd rather wait. Yeah. Especially because the food isn't unique, tailored offerings specifically for this event. It's food you can get at Disney any old time.
As much as I want a Mickey pretzel.
It's like they're really, really driving hard of like, haven't you missed it? Come on.
Yes, we have.
Get your fix.
But I'm not going to spend $150 for both of us to get in there to have a Mickey pretzel.
Yeah, like, to me, there's no value in that. But for some people who really miss it, there might be value in that.
Who knows?
This people might really want that.
This thing's going to sell out.
I have, and everybody call me out if I'm wrong. Here's my prediction. Is that once tickets go on, and actually, this might not happen simply based on how they're kind of doing a rolling sale of it. Yeah. Where they're only releasing some. But as soon as it opens, it will sell out. People will go. But then it's going to wane after a while because of what the experience entails, what they're giving and offering versus the ticket price. Yeah. Eventually, people are going to learn. People like us are going to watch. There's a lot of people like us who are going to be watching and seeing if it's worth it or not. And I have a prediction that it's not going to be, and then attendance is going to drop, and then people are just not going to go.
Yeah. I don't think that'll happen because it's Disney, and people eat, breathe, and live Disney, and they haven't had it for over a year.
Who am I? Who am I if I don't have Disney?
I mean, sorry if we're offending anyone. I don't think... We're not trying to, you know what I mean?
No, I mean, like,
people love Disney.
If Disney's your thing, then go for it.
Yeah, then go. Have fun.
I'm talking about the people who literally, if they don't have Disney in their life, rather a Disney park, they don't know who they are. Yeah. That's a problem.
Yeah. No, but go if you want to. Have fun, see the thing they haven't seen for over a year, get some of that Disney magic back if that's your prerogative. We're just gonna hold tight and wait
pretty much.
Bit. Yeah.
So the next piece of news is once again another food festival piece of news. So it's 2 episodes in a row with 2 pieces of news that are about food.
And I'm hungry.
And you're starving.
Yeah.
So this one is actually SeaWorld. SeaWorld is bringing back their 7 Seas Food Festival event with 125 flavors from around the world.
What?
So there's a lot there, but this says SeaWorld is bringing back international flavors, amazing beverage tastings, and live musical performances with the return of Southern California's fan favorite 7 Seas Food Festival. The event will run every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from March 5th through May 2nd, with the park's enhanced health and safety measures including limited capacity, reservations, increased cleaning and sanitation, temperature checks, and face covering requirements. In addition to the tasty bites and delicious drinks, guests can safely enjoy 3 live music stages and all of their favorite outdoor animal exhibits including dolphins, sea lions, bat rays, bamboo sharks, flamingos, sea otters, turtles, and more. SeaWorld San Diego reopened as a zoo earlier this month with 100 acres of expansive open-air grounds. After a year of limits on international travel, San Diego's popular culinary event will offer foodies and families the widest variety of chef and mixologist curated tastes inspired by cultures from across the 7 seas. So like as I mentioned, it'll be 125 fresh flavors from around the world. Guests can taste everything from the most indulgent desserts to the park's all-new savory vegan bites. In addition to the amazing food, this year's festival includes SeaWorld's most expansive beverage menu, even with more than 25 specialty curated cocktails, zero-proof cocktails, and wines, and a selection of more than 75 craft beers from California and beyond. Now, the most important part of all of this is, how much does it cost? So you have to get a ticket in, do the reservation system to get a ticket into SeaWorld. It isn't like Knott's where it's like the tasting card is the entrance fee.
Yeah. I think that's because they're already functioning as a zoo, and this is on top of that.
Exactly. Yeah. This is a special event in addition to what they're already offering.
Yes.
So you can get a lanyard. Guests can embark on their culinary journey with a 10-sample lanyard starting at $60, or take it up a notch with a fan favorite 15-sample lanyard for the best savings. So I'm assuming that's going to cost more, but you're getting more.
It's weird that they don't say it.
Yeah, I think it's because it's expensive.
I guess.
But then SeaWorld San Diego annual pass members also get the VIP treatment with even more flavors and savings with their 3 free samples with the purchase of a 15-sample lanyard. So that's a lot.
That's a lot of food.
That's a lot of food. Look at this.
I don't know if I want to be a pass holder.
Look at this picture.
All of that stuff looks amazing.
Yeah,
and honestly, this looks more exciting than Disney.
Look at this.
Oh my God, that looks so good.
Look at that.
Oh, that one.
So I'm enticing Nikki because she's super hungry right now.
I'm so hungry.
And I'm teasing her. Oh, Nikki, there's drinks in this one. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
So yeah.
Oh, look at that one.
So this event looks really good. It looks really, really good. We love visiting SeaWorld because we like seeing all the wildlife and the sea animals and creatures and things like that. This on top of it, that's pretty awesome.
That's a fun time.
It is a little pricey though because of the $60 or whatever the other price is for the other one on top of the ticket price.
Do you know what the ticket price is?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not know off the top of my head
At least
what
you're honest.
A ticket price is currently.
Okay.
Since they've reopened.
Well,
I'm assuming the ticket price is reduced.
Unless it's $15, it's more expensive than Disney.
Yes.
But they're offering more because there's exhibits, there's, animals. And so, it's a pick your favorite.
It's a pick your poison situation, and it really
not
depends.
poison. It's delicious food, Gabe.
True, good point.
Yeah.
Pick your delicious foods. It really
pick your delicious food.
It really depends on what you prefer and what
Yeah.
you're looking for. Like if you want those photo ops with the Disney characters, clearly that's going to be of a much better value to you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want something where you're getting that food and the drink, but then you're also getting, I guess, quote, show, because you have these exhibits of animals, then SeaWorld would be your option.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is really enticing for me. I kind of really want to go and get this food. This looks amazing.
Yeah.
Ultimately, there's like a picture of like beer in there in a glass, and he's just holding it. And I'm just like, oh my God.
It's lovely.
It's so good.
Whoever does their food picks, SeaWorld, good job. They're so good, and they're pretty. Like, look at even like the background.
It's well composed.
Yeah.
Well composed photos of food, and they all look amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, put it in my mouth. Please, put it in my mouth right now.
We're like angering people because this is an audio podcast and they can't see what we're looking at.
At least we kept it to a minimum.
Yeah.
That's all it really
well,
is.
anyway, now I'm even more hungry.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little bit more hungry. It's fine, we'll live. But anyway, let's jump into the main subject of today's episode.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking theme park memories. So like I said, we had people send in their theme park memories, but we are going to be sharing some of our own as well.
Yeah, scattered throughout.
Yes, so you're going to get some of ours. You may have heard some of them before because they are our favorite memories, but alas, hopefully you haven't heard them yet. So let's jump right into this with our first recording from Lee and Tracy of UUOP.
Hello, Nikki and Gabe. It is Lee.
And Tracy.
From
the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast.
Hey guys, you've asked us to reach out and share some theme park memories.
You have? Yes.
Tracy has no memories.
I have no memories, no. I don't even know what I did this morning.
Oh, man. I mean, we've been visiting theme parks for a hell of a long time now, and obviously, being a Universal podcast, most of our favourite memories are going to come from Universal.
Obviously.
There has been...
Many?
far too many, honestly. You look back, taking the kids for the first time, just going the first time.
Sorry, let's leave the kids out of it. That's when the memories went downhill.
Just going for the first time to a theme park on that level blew my mind.
Yeah.
And riding Spider-Man for the first time left me speechless.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone who listens to our podcast knows that's not a mean feat.
No, as you can hear.
But in 10 years, and it has been 10 years of doing this
who
show,
knew?
It has just become something crazy. And most of, at least my favourite memories have been through things because of the podcast.
Yeah.
So, like, the RIP tour we did at Halloween Horror Nights in 2015.
That was awesome.
Such an awesome group.
Yeah.
I hate to say it for the people that were on that one that weren't on the next one, but our RIP tour in 2019 was phenomenal.
Yes, it was.
To be able to go in the middle of that and sit down with one of the creators of the Scare Zones that year, it was just like, oh man, this is just crazy.
That's top tier wish list.
It's just amazing, isn't it? But as a friend, that's the bizarre thing. Getting to ride a parade float at Mardi Gras last year.
Oh man, that was... I can't even put that into words. That was so good. I think I grinned the entire round of that. Yeah.
For just riding a parade float, it's not a massive length of experience, but the whole thing lasts about 3 hours.
Yeah, with all your build up and everything.
But
yeah,
it flew by.
Oh, it really did. But the whole day was great because we had that build up to it, that anticipation.
Yeah, the little meetups we've done. We did one in 2013. We did one in 2015. We did a little one at Strongwater Tavern in February last year.
Yeah.
But for me, my favourite memory, and it's a big memory, not as opposed to one little thing, just a whole thing encompassed it, was the whole weekend trip in October 2019.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Getting to host an event in the parks and have people actually turn up, but spend money to be able to have to turn up.
It was so bizarre because it's like, I'm just me.
Yeah, it's
why
weird.
Are people here?
And
why do people want to talk to me? And in Zeus Landing, why are people following me around and listening to me? That was
people
weird.
getting dead nervous to meet us as well. It's just so bizarre. And it's like, I want to meet our listeners just as much as they want to listen to us, but little things inside that, getting the massive group photo in front of the Hogwarts with the Hogwarts Express conductor was awesome. There's one gone now. Scare Actor Dine, a big group. Riding
awesome.
Fast and Furious, where we had apart from a poor woman and her 2 children, the entire bus was our group.
We took the party to the bus.
It was awesome. I
think that's the only ride I've ever enjoyed. Sorry, dear.
It was. The thing is,
it was so good.
That was the first time we rode it, and we reviewed it afterwards, and everyone said your review's tainted because it's never going to be that good again.
Like that again.
But yeah, just that whole week was phenomenal. Getting to hang out with Chris, our co-host, we'd never even met him before.
No, and it was immediate. This is family.
And Michelle, for that matter, who is now our co-host and sponsor. We'd never met her before, but
same. Yeah,
just getting to hang out with people that I class as my close friends who I hardly ever get to see. That trip was so emotional. It was just amazing. I can talk about it without tearing up now.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Distance
because
and time.
For about 3 months after, I couldn't.
I think for me, some of my favourite memories are standing behind Lee, watching him look as if he's not actually tearing up as he's walking in through the gates.
Every time.
It was the first time we went in. I think it was the second trip with the kids where we went in.
2013.
Yeah, so Jade was old enough to understand a few things. And I saw Lee just starting to fill up a bit. So I just got hold of the kids and held them back and let the dad go forward. I just went to give him a minute.
It was the first time we'd set foot in a Universal park since we started the podcast.
Yeah. He was a mess.
And we went straight to Hogsmeade as well.
We did.
Which made it doubly
he was a
worse.
mess all day. But things like, obviously I've got the Zeus sleeve. Things for me, it's like elbowing the kids out the way to meet the Grinch, because I don't care if the kids. I am meeting, my second husband. But then getting backstage and having a big group photo taken with all the characters. That's a really special memory. But then going and having that a second time, but they remembered me.
Yeah.
And they realised that my little tattoo was now a full sleeve, so they wanted the photo to put up next to the original. That was awesome. And that's not podcast related. But the tattoo is completely Universal's fault, because if it wasn't for them, I
Yes.
wouldn't have fallen in love with Dr. Zeus. Well, Dr. Zeus, yeah, Zeus landed, not Dr. Zeus. But yeah, it's the people that are the memories.
Agreed.
And it's, smells take you back. For me, I'll hear a name and I'll be transported to a moment with that person. And it's a special place, and there's lots of special memories. I'll leave all the being a bit girly to you.
It's Universal Orlando has become my life.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole thing is a memory. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what it was. So, yeah,
A few memories do overlap because there's been quite a few visits.
it has.
But
And we hope to make many more once we
yes.
get COVID out of the way.
Yes.
Hopefully. But yeah, thanks for letting us share our memories, guys.
Absolutely.
Take care, and we will catch up soon because we need to do a crossover episode. Gabe, you and I have talked
Yes,
about
we
it.
do.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
If anybody's not listened to UOP yet, make sure you do, because Lee Tracy and the whole gang over there are just such genuine human beings, and I feel like this is a prime example of why they're like that. And also, they're literally the UK versions of us.
Yeah.
Lee's crying reaction to things is what I do. That's me. That happens to me.
That it's exact. Like, I was listening to it and I was like, oh my God, I have memories of Gabe doing the exact same thing.
Watching the Magic Kingdom, cried. Watching Animal Kingdom, cried.
Yeah.
Rode Spider-Man, cried.
Yeah.
Walked into Diagon Alley, cried.
Oh, I was crying right there with you on
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
that one you cried with me. So
Yeah.
thank God.
And I'm not a crier, so that I know that's one of my favorite memories is walking into Diagon Alley and just
Together.
absolutely just bawling.
Yeah,
like
it was pretty incredible.
the dragon blew fire, and I was like,
Yeah, we just broke down in complete tears. Just,
yeah,
Well, like it was a mixture of things.
yeah,
And actually, before we do that, I want to get one more thing out of my head just about Lee and Tracy before I forget it. Is that I think that the fact that a lot of their memories really revolve around other people and spending time with other people, meeting people who listen to their show, doing an event for people who listen to their show, really says a lot about them as people.
yeah.
And I completely agree with them that a lot of the time when it comes to these experiences that we have, especially in the themed entertainment industry, a lot of it is because of people and with people. And that makes those memories so much better.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
definitely.
And when she said, you know how when smells give you memories? When I see people, they give me memories. I thought she was gonna say, when I see people, I have the memory of how they smelled. But to bring it back, I said it's the people that you're experiencing with. That's exactly us.
Mhm.
So walking into Diagon Alley, it was this anticipation. It was almost palpable.
Yeah.
We're walking up to the entrance. You and I are getting super excited. We see the night bus. We're walking by the facades. We see it. We're like, okay, it's here. Then we walk through. You hear the bricks scraping against each other and moving. And I remember getting giddy about that. The sound design of walking into this place, and you're completely transported. And both of us had our eyes wide and our mouths agape. And, we're walking around, don't know where to go, don't know what to look at. We're just overwhelmed. Get to the base of Gringotts Bank, and that fire just went off. And both of us
Dragon.
just lost it. We lost it. We were holding each other, crying.
In the rain.
Sobbing in
It
the
was
rain.
raining.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
But
it was.
that is such a permanent memory for me in my head now is that experience with you after never having had anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
and not to mention the fact that we were straight off a red eye. We were like loopy / giddy / everything else.
kind of a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But that trip in general was definitely one to remember.
That trip in general is one of my favorite theme park memories.
It's definitely.
Yeah.
Welcome to the episode.
Yeah. No, that's that. Like, let's just get it out of the way right now. Our Whirlwind Weekend Universal Halloween Horror Nights trip is one of my favorite theme park memories.
Yeah, it was a pretty fantastic and quick trip, but it was pretty phenomenal. And when Lee talks about Horror Nights and the experiences of Horror Nights, I completely am right there with you, because a lot of that was the experience of Horror Nights and how it kind of really brings people together in a weird way.
Yeah.
So, and especially in this community. So I'm right there with you, Lee.
Yes.
But on to the next recording. We have a submission from James H. Carter III.
Oh, this should be good.
From Creepy Kingdom.
Yeah.
Hey, it's James from Creepy Kingdom, and my favorite theme park memory took place on September 23rd, 2017. It was inside the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World, and this was at the end of just a banner day. Incredible things happened all day. It just seemed like Disney magic was in the air nonstop. Things like cast members giving us free chips and salsa. I like on my bar for a good day is free chips and salsa. Anyways, nonstop fun. I can't get all into it here, but there was a group of us, some people from Creepy Kingdom, some of our pals, and we were just gallivanting around Magic Kingdom. Awesome stuff kept happening. We ended the night at Haunted Mansion. We wanted to go try to get in there so we could get in there right at midnight. Amongst our group was an off-duty cast member who alerted the cast members working that they were a cast member, and then some extra special Disney magic happened. First of all, it was the first time we got to go to the servants' quarters, so that was pretty cool. It's a Magic Kingdom exclusive little room there. But we got our very own stretching room by ourselves, and we all laid out on the floor to take in this experience. And out of all the awesome theme park memories I've had, that's the one that stands out as my favorite, because it felt really special to be able to have that experience with myself and my friends. And it just capped off a day of being on a massive Disney magic high where every magic just seemed to be happening left and right. And I often want to go back and live in that moment. It is great to think back on that memory when nothing else mattered in the world except laying on that dirty stretching room floor, being whisked away into Disney magic.
So first, I have to say, if the only magical thing that happened all day was the fact that I was getting free chips and salsa, I'd be happy.
I know. I was gonna lead with that too. That my bar is chips and salsa and up also.
Well,
so, yeah.
Margarita than chips and salsa.
Well, yeah, but free. Actually,
What?
I think I would take chips and salsa over margarita.
Whoa.
Chips and salsa is like life.
Really?
Yes.
Are you Nikki right now?
How do you not know this?
No,
about
I
me?
know about the chips and salsa thing.
Yeah.
But over a margarita?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
For everybody who needs to know this, Nikki is a margarita lover. That is her drink. That is her thing. All the time. What do you want to drink? Margarita. What do you want for breakfast? Margarita. What do you want for lunch? Margarita. What do you want for dinner? Chips and salsa.
That's hyperbole. Just a little bit.
Not really.
I don't have margaritas for breakfast. But no, seriously, I love a good chips and salsa. I mean, I'm picky, you know.
Yeah, of course.
No like grocery store bag of chips, you know.
It's like
gotta be the
restaurant
good
quality,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nikki spends extra money on that.
Yeah. I'm classy.
I'm a classy woman, thank you.
Well,
I don't take Mission. Mission tortillas.
I do love myself a good Scoops chip, though.
Yeah, scoops are good.
Scoops are good. Okay, I digress.
Scoops.
But, okay, so feel ya on the chips and salsa. And also, that's just a awesome memory. Like,
That's so
I
cool.
think those are so cool, those moments where it's just so out of the typical experience
Yeah.
that it just sticks with you, and it makes you like euphoric.
And anybody who knows James, you know, I think he said it and I said it, he's from Creepy Kingdom. He loves all the creepy scary stuff, and I know he's a huge Haunted Mansion nerd just like I am.
Mm-hmm.
We love Haunted Mansion. And for him to have like just an extra special experience
On that
particular ride means so much to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I can't imagine the giddiness of like, oh my god, we have our own room. Oh my god, I'm gonna lay on the floor. I get to do all this stuff that I never get to do. I get to see the servants' quarters, and James just gets all excited.
Yeah.
Like a kid. Like I would get excited.
Yeah, you would,
That's
for sure.
such a distinct memory. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a fun experience. I have a memory and an experience that I can kind of equate to this type of experience. You know, something that isn't the typical norm situation. I was at Disneyland and I was by myself, and I don't know if we were dating or not yet, but half of the park was actually closed for like a particular event. So the only parts of the park that were open, I think, were Fantasyland and Tomorrowland. Those were really the only parts of the park that were open. And most people started leaving because the event started taking place. People were like, the whole park's part of it's being taken up. I don't want to stay. So a lot of people left. So Disneyland, for all intents and purposes, was really a ghost town for a while that night, which I stayed around because I was like, cool. I get to take photos. Awesome. I get to hang out, go on some rides, no lines. Perfect. So I went to Star Tours. Nobody in line. Not a single soul. Not a single soul in there at all. And I was like, okay, cool. And so I started going through the line and got up to like the area where they put you like in the numbers. The guy's just kind of like looking around, like looking for the rest of my party. I was like, no, just me. I was okay, cool. Just go to this gate and we'll let you just sit wherever you want. So I got to ride Star Tours all by myself.
That's really cool.
Which, that's a really cool experience because it's only you. You're engulfed in that experience. And it's very different than being surrounded by everybody else laughing and screaming and cheering.
Did they make you the rebel spy?
I think it was before.
Oh, okay.
It was before that happened.
I was gonna say
it was an empty seat.
How lame if it was like you're like, come on, it's only me.
Just choose me. No, it was before that, so it was still with Pilot Rex, and I rode the ride and I was like, okay, that was a fun experience. And I think I sat like front row center.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool. I'm happy with that. That's awesome. The ride ends, music starts playing, and I'm about to unbuckle my seatbelt, and I unbuckle it, and I'm getting up to leave, and the guy's like, hey, do you want to ride again? I was like, I can? He goes, yeah, nobody's here, dude. You can ride it again. I was like, cool, awesome. So I went to the back row this time because I'm just short enough to where my feet kind of dangle.
They dangle, just I like the back row.
So I sat dead center in the back. And he's like getting his things ready, going through his spiel. He's about to leave and set it to go. And he kind of gets quiet for a second. And kind of like, you can see his like shifty eyes thinking. And he turns to me and he goes, do you want to write it without sound? And I was like, yes, of course I do. What kind of question is that? Yes, please. So the ride starts and it's literally no audio, no music, no sound effects, just just all the carriage tilting back and forth mechanisms, Rex moving and squeaking around. That ride makes so much noise, but you don't hear a single ounce of it because of the sound design.
That's hilarious.
I was laughing my butt off so hard because in my mind I'm like in my mind because there was no music.
That's so funny.
It was really fun. That was such a unique experience.
He probably did that too before, and that's how he knew.
Oh yeah. I mean, if there's a guy coming onto the ride alone, or a person rather on their own, you know that they're a Disney fan.
Yeah.
Nobody comes to Disneyland by themselves unless you're an annual pass holder and you're a fan.
Yeah. So
he read me right.
Yeah.
Not that I have my book closed and my dorky book is wide open for everyone to read at all times. So there's no shying away from that. But that's definitely a unique memory for me.
Yeah.
But the next one is a listener submitted memory. Let's jump into that right now.
Okay.
People are always saying they don't get Disney adults. I mean, I don't know what's not to get, but for me, the Disneyland park was like one of the central characters in my childhood. I grew up in Santa Ana off of Garden Grove Boulevard in Fairview. So on a light traffic day, that's about 11 minutes drive to the front gate of Disneyland, where you used to be able to pull up, drop people off, and pick them up. If we rode our bikes, it was under 25 minutes. So now when kids do well in school, they get like a buy one, get one coupon for a local pizza joint. But when I was in school, we would get coupons for free child admission to Disneyland with a paid adult admission. And what we would do is my dad would drive us over in his orange Datsun with one primer white door because this was the 80s. No one cared about seatbelts or safety. So my dad would drop my brothers and I off at the gates and be like, be back here at 7 or you're walking home. And at the time, tickets for locals were like $20 for adults, but we had no money. Our monthly family treat was my dad would take us all to the McDonald's across the street from the park on a Saturday night. and we'd all get 10-cent ice cream cones. And then he would pull into the Travelodge parking lot, and we'd lay out a furniture pad on the grass because he worked in a furniture warehouse, so we always had those. And we'd all sit and watch the fireworks and eat our ice cream cones. And that was the family night that we could afford. So when we got these coupons, he's dropping us off with no cash. And we'd just go up to adults in line, like, are you paying regular admission? And can we go in with you? It's not going to cost you anything. We just need to be with an adult who's paying. And they would do it. And one of our other brilliant moves was if the lines were too long, we'd yell, "Hey, Mom," at the end of the line, and then just squeeze past everybody and stand behind some random lady up by the front. And I would never do that today. But we moved away from there when I was 12. So just to put this in perspective, I can't even count how many times I went to Disneyland when I was a kid, but it was all before I turned 13. And my oldest brother was only a year and a half older than me. And then my stepbrother was right in between. So I was the youngest. And, we were like 9, 10, 11 and just feral Disneyland children. In fact, the last time that my brothers went, and I know this was the last time because they are banned for life because they stole a pair of sunglasses from the Pirates of the Caribbean store. And they thought they got away with it because they left the store. But then the Disney police grabbed them at the exit gates and took them to Disney jail. And my dad had to come pick them up. And he was not happy with that. But I do remember like some actual park stuff, like the submarines when they were getting close to an end. And there would be an inexcusable amount of algae on the mermaids and one's tail would be falling off. Or like opening weekend of Splash Mountain, which broke down every 5 minutes. So the line started out forever long, but every time it broke down, a bunch of people would leave. And my brothers and I were like, that's fine. Hope it breaks down with us in it. But it's more that I remember growing up near Disneyland and this childhood delusion that like this was the best place to grow up. Instead of birthday parties, I could pick one friend to take to Disneyland. So basically we were the richest family I knew and nothing was ever bad. And I was so Pollyanna. Like this one time, my brother and I were playing outside and talking to this dude who lived across the street when a car pulls up and the passenger asks for directions and we can't hear what he said. So the neighbor walks closer and the guy in the car jumps out, throws him on the hood and arrests him for robbing a bank. And we just like watched this and then went home. Like that was wild. But I still thought it was the best place to grow up because you had Disney in one direction and the beach in the other. And our school field trips would go to like Universal Studios when it was just the tram tour. And that was the whole thing. Or like the La Brea Tar Pits or the Walt Disney Concert Hall. And I would actually tell people when I was adult, like proudly, that I grew up in a great neighborhood. And then one time a coworker laughs at me and she asked how many drive-bys there were. And I was like, hardly any. Like 2 a year? Almost none. And apparently that's not the right answer. And so now I've been back to the house that I grew up in. And it's nice. It's a nice area. The house is worth like $500,000. Back then we were renting it for I think like $750 a month. And the park down the street doesn't have any graffiti anymore. The La Brea Tar Pits hold up, which was a relief. I was afraid that those were going to suck as an adult. But it's pretty cool. And I know there's a lot of stories out there about Disneyland in the 50s and the 60s. And I feel like the 80s is underrepresented. And that's what it was like growing up next to Disneyland in the 80s. It was magical.
Magical or the wild frickin' West.
But that's the innocence of a kid, you know?
Right? Yeah, it's just it's all the things you don't understand quite yet.
Yeah.
You're not old enough to get.
It's just no matter what situation, you're in financially or anything, you're just a kid. And if you're happy, you're happy. And that's awesome, And
honestly, like the situation of like getting the ice cream cones and sitting on the blanket and watching the fireworks, that's so sweet.
Sound awesome to me.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, I see families doing that now.
Yeah.
So it hasn't changed. People still do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the price of the the ice cream cone probably went up from 10 cents to $1, but I mean,
Yeah.
the idea is still there. So there's this timelessness to that experience for people who do live in the area. And as somebody who grew up in Orange County, I could totally associate myself with the kind of that situation now. Not as close as her,
Yeah.
but close enough to where I could just go over whenever I wanted to.
Your dad would
and
drop
just live
you
there.
off and you'd bring him back a turkey leg. Like you told me that.
That'll be the memory that I'll share with this one.
Yeah.
But before we jump into that, the idea of like the coupons for the kids and then just tagging along with an adult that just happens to be there.
Yeah,
it's so
that's
smart.
amazing.
It's so smart. It's so awesome.
It's
Nobody
such
would
an
question a
80s
thing.
an 80s and previous thing to do. You know,
Yeah.
I don't even think the 90s you would get away with that as much as the 80s.
Oh, not at all. Like I said, though, 80s were the Wild West.
Yeah.
Out there in Anaheim. By the way, I would like to say any number of drive-bys is bad.
Yes.
Any number. Anything above one, anything with 1 and above is bad.
Yeah.
It's only a couple of years. No, that's an awesome memory to have, being able to just live in around that magic and as a kid believe in that magic and knowing that this place is just a cool place to go to as a kid and grow up in Disneyland, essentially.
A feral Disneyland child.
A feral
Yeah,
Disneyland child.
this is the funniest story so far. I mean,
So funny. That's
it
pretty
tickled
good.
my funny bone. So thank you for submitting. It really made me laugh.
Yeah, and as Nikki said, my dad used to drop me off at Disneyland before I could drive, and I would always beg him to drop me off. And as a young teenager who can't drive yet, who wants to go visit Disneyland, that's painful because you want to do everything you can instead of taking public transportation to get there, which would take forever.
Yeah.
Especially where I was. It's just painful. So I would bother my dad day and night. Can you take me tomorrow? Can you take me the next day? Can you take me this day? Can you take me this day? Eventually, my dad stopped saying no and started as often.
Yeah.
He would say yes, obviously, every now and again and drive me there and then pick me up later in the evening. But he started to come up with this deal. And I don't know if I've shared this on the show before, but one time when he was driving me, he's like, so, this is the deal. I'll drop you off at Disneyland whenever you want, but you have to bring me back a turkey leg. That is the price of me dropping you off.
What a cheap Uber.
Yeah, so he's like, bring me back a turkey leg, be here back at this time. We're solid.
Good to go.
Good to go.
Mm-hmm.
So there was so many times where I had forgotten about the turkey leg when I was there because I'm having fun. I'm getting to run around doing my thing. And I'm like, oh, crap. Oh, my God. And I'm like sprinting around Adventureland trying to get to the turkey legs on Main Street just to get one. My dad's like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm getting a turkey leg. Calm down. And like he would forget because at that point, the turkey leg would be warm instead of just like sweaty and cold from sitting in my backpack all day. So
no one wants that.
A sweaty cold turkey leg.
Yeah, no one wants a sweaty cold turkey leg. Yeah.
That's a memory I'll never forget is the deal that we struck up.
Yeah.
So he could drive me to Disneyland.
I can't relate quite as much because I grew up a little bit farther away, an hour and a half, 2 hours out. So I was a once a year Disneyland kid, like with my family, and I could always bring a friend, and I got the occasional trip other times with friends and their family and stuff, but definitely a more sporadic
type of trip for
it was more of like a once a year exciting thing to look forward to than a casual like pass holder or something
for me like that ability to go there so often, I don't think it ever wore off the specialty of it. The special nature of being able to go as often. I think a lot of the time that the idea of just being able to go whenever you want, people tend to forget how special that is.
Yeah.
For me, it was special every time I went because I was doing something different every time I went. I was trying to actively learn things when I was there or go on things that I wouldn't go on if I was with other people.
That's what I wanted to say is one of my favorite memories is the early years of me having a pass. I was like in my late teens, early 20s. Like I got a pass way late, but I really enjoyed doing the little things, captaining the Mark Twain, or taking all the different forms of transportation down Main Street, or getting a ticket and riding the Lily Bell, or riding in the nose of the monorail, like all those little things. I really enjoyed doing those. Once you've gone through the motions of running to Space Mountain and doing this and doing that,
Gotta
and
get this, gotta get
all
this
the
fast
all
pass,
the
gotta do that.
all the common just things that you do every visit. Once that charm wears off a little bit, then you want to find the hidden treasures, and I loved that phase of my Disney Pass experience, is just finding those little nuggets.
Yeah, the nuggets of those experiences make those trips worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And you, like I said, you never forget those kinds of things. So, but thank you so much for that awesome 80s inspired memory there.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our next piece of theme park memory, and this is from Dave Cobb.
Hey everybody, this is Dave Cobb here. Big fan of Theme Park Duo, occasional guest on the show, experienced designer, and I guess when I think about favorite theme park memories, I have so many that relate to attractions, obviously. Like a big one is the first time I ever rode Honey Hunt at Tokyo Disneyland. The minute you stop in the Tigger room and bounce, I laughed so hard it hurt because it was just so unexpected and silly. But my favorite theme park memories are actually two of them involving family members. Both my niece and nephew, actually, who are now in their 20s, but having an uncle in the theme park industry meant that they were spoiled rotten when it came to theme parks, and I took them all the time. I used to bring them quite often, starting at about 7 or 8 years old. I brought them to gay days with me at Disney, and which was great because they wear their little shirts, and all my friends would dote on them, and they would basically have 40 uncles for the day. And I'll never forget one time. We got into the park and got to the center hub, and I think it was early morning, so everybody was still entering the park. And I ran into some friends of mine from out of state who I did not know were coming. They didn't let me know. And I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing here? And my niece, who was then about 8 or 9, looked at me like, duh, it's gay days. So out of the mouths of babes, I mean, she'll be the first to tell you now in her 20s that she was raised by bears. So, and then the second story is about her brother, my nephew Leighton. And he was also must have been about 8 or 9, maybe 10 years old, maybe a little older. And we were on a trip to Orlando. And he was a bit of a scaredy cat as a kid. He would go on the dark rides. He wasn't like scared of the dark or anything, but the big scary coasters, he just would not go on. And I didn't force him. I never, ever forced him to do anything he didn't want to. So I would usually wait for him as other people came off, the rest of the family came off the coasters, and they would be laughing and, oh, that was great. It was so fun, blah, blah, blah. And I saw him getting a little, despondent about that. And I always told him, I'm like, well, as soon as you're ready, you let me know. And we get to Dueling Dragons at Islands of Adventure, and we're standing in front of those two big statues of the dragons, and we're watching the two loops as the trains get real close to each other and people screaming, and I'm holding his hand, and I start to walk away, and he won't move. And I look back at him, and he's like, let's do it. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? And he's like, yeah, let's do it before I change my mind. And so we go through the queue, which is dark and spooky and there's so much anticipation, but he's ready. And we sit in, and I can see him sort of hyperventilating as the shoulder restraints come down. And I sit him in the middle seat, and I'm on the outside, so it's not too scary. And I have my hands wrapped between his fingers as they grip his bars, like really, really, really tight. He's head back in the restraint and just bracing for the worst. The look on his face is just abject terror. And we ride the whole ride, and I've been on it a million times at this point. So I'm literally riding, watching his face and just making sure he's okay. And he doesn't really react much. His eyes are like saucers the whole time, and he's real stiff, but he's, being thrown around by the ride. He doesn't say a thing. He doesn't scream. He doesn't yell. We get to the final break zone at the end of the ride. Stop. And he goes, yeah! With this unbelievable exclamation of joy. And I teared up. I was so happy for him. And he said, "Can we do it again?" I'm like, "Yeah, we can do as many times as you want." And from that point on, he was a coaster fan. And I'll never forget that moment. I'll never forget what he sounded like and what he looked like, you know? And to me, that's theme park memories are often about the attractions, but they're also about the people you share them with. And those are some of my favorites.
He's such a good uncle.
Yeah.
Didn't force him, you know, let him choose when. And he was ready, guided him on, made sure he was good. By the way, that Dueling Dragons line isn't just a cue. It's spooky.
Yeah.
There's like dead bodies everywhere and stuff like that. Yeah. There's plenty of that stuff that was in the line. So the fact that he was able to get through that and then actually onto the ride is pretty surprising.
Yeah.
But it showed that he was ready. That's so sweet. And then also like 40 uncles.
Yeah, no.
40 uncles were raised by bears.
So cute.
That's
Ja,
phenomenal.
it's skating.
Those are two really sweet memories.
Yeah.
And he's 100% right. And we've been reiterating it the entire episode. It's about the people that you're spending this time with.
Yeah, it's about the memories you're making.
Yeah, and I think a big part of, you know, going to theme parks, regardless if it's Disney, Knott's, Universal, Cedar Point, Busch Gardens, whatever it is, there are those memories of, I'm a little scared to go on that. I don't know if I can handle this. I don't know if I can handle that. Things like that. I think every kid kind of goes through it to a certain extent. Some a lot more than others.
Yes,
I'm pointing at myself.
yourself.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
I'm pointing at myself. And some other kids barely have that fear in them.
I only had that with one ride ever.
What was the one ride?
Goliath. Well, it was like his
Goliath at Six Flags Magic Mountain.
His story resonated with me a lot because that was exactly my experience. It turned me from a complete wuss, never wanting to go on anything slightly coastery, to I went with my dad and my family, and I didn't want to go on any coasters. And I went to Six Flags.
That's all coasters.
And I was like so stressed. And you know, he didn't push me. You know, he was just like, you know, whenever you're ready, let me know. Just walk through the queue with us. If you don't want to go, you know, I'll walk you to the other side. And I was like, oh, I'll do it. And then I rode it, loved every second of it.
Yeah.
I got off. I was like, let's go again. And coaster fanatic from then on out.
Yeah, you loved every second of it.
Every second.
I wish my story wasn't as traumatic. Because I was a big fat chicken. And in retrospect, if my brother didn't do what he did, I probably wouldn't have ridden anything.
You needed to be baby birded out of the nest.
I needed to just shoved.
You needed to be shoved. Yeah.
Not a gentle guide.
Yeah.
But a shove.
Yeah.
It was slightly traumatic, but I'm glad my brother did it because now I love coasters. Not as much as you, but I enjoy coasters.
Yeah.
We were at Knott's Berry Farm, and I hadn't been on a coaster yet, like not a single one. I mean, other than maybe like Matterhorn or Thunder Mountain, but even at that point, I didn't really consider them coasters.
Yeah,
they say
different.
coaster-like experience or whatever it is. But even then, like even when I was younger, than at this point, I was still scared of Thunder Mountain, Big Space Mountain, and all that stuff. So I was really a big chicken. And we went to Knott's Berry Farm, and my brother's like, we're going to go on Montezuma's Revenge, which prior to, or as opposed to what people think, that is actually a roller coaster and not just the runs.
Yeah.
It is a launching roller coaster that goes into a loop and then goes backwards through that loop, and that's how it ends.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, fine. So we're going through the line, you know, obviously anticipation going. And if you've ridden Montezuma's Revenge and you've been in that line, you know how unbelievably loud that launch is, and the wheels on the track. It's loud. It's a loud coaster. So that was kind of getting me really, really anxious and nervous about riding it all. And so we get up to the point where, you know, we get past the turnstile at the top and we're about to go and choose kind of a row to go into. My brother's like, we're going to go dead center. That's probably the best area for you. It's not the front. It's not the back. Dead center is probably best for you since you're a beginner. As soon as those gates open after people have gotten out, I tried to ditch. I tried to jump over the car to get away because I was scared. And my brother caught me, pushed me back, got into the second seat, it said, now you can't go anywhere. And I couldn't go backwards, so I was like, crap. So I sat down and went through the entire experience, and after that day, I was like, okay, that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
But I was still slightly chicken after that. It took a lot of courage to work up to like other rides.
Yeah.
But funny enough, that same trip, I was like, I want to go on Ghost Rider. That seems like a lot of fun. And so we go on Ghost Rider, and we're literally Ghost Rider. As you exit the station, it kind of dips down, goes a big turn, and then up the lift. And we go around that and start going up the lift. And my brother's like, I'm really surprised you wanted to go on this. I was like, why? It's another roller coaster. He goes, yeah, but it's really intense. And he's like telling me about how crazy the ride is as we're going up the lift to like the tip. And at peak roller coaster was my peak regret. Which that ride is fun, like, but it is wild, and especially if you don't go on a ton of coasters.
That reminds me of another fun story that I forgot was in my memories. It was when
That's what's good about these episodes is that it triggers past trauma.
No, it's more recent. It's when we took my family from Ireland to Knott's Berry Farm.
Why do you keep saying Poisonberry?
No.
That trip?
No, it's when you told my cousin Karen that we were going to start off with an easy coaster. And we get in line for Ghost Rider first thing in the morning. And
don't need a cup of coffee after that thing, I'll tell you that much.
And we're waiting, and we get on, and just sitting behind Gabe and my cousin Karen, listening to her yell at him like mid-ride, like, this is not an easy coaster!
It was a lot of curse words, I'll tell you that much. There was a lot of Irish accent curse words.
No, I don't know. I don't know if she was cursing.
She was.
I just know that she was yelling at you. Like, this is not an easy coaster.
The kids were so scared.
No,
they have nothing over there but Tato Park.
They needed to be baby birded out of the nest, just like you.
They were very nervous. And I think Karen and Andrew, their parents, they actually came up to me like, they're quite nervous about going. Yeah. They don't have rides like this.
Yeah, you needed to start off strong. So then everything after that was small
don't
potatoes.
Worry about it.
Yeah.
It's fine. The lie wasn't for the parents. The lie was for the kids.
But Karen yelling at you was funny.
But guess what happens?
Yeah.
The kids came off like, that was awesome.
Yeah, no. It totally worked. Yeah. Your gamble paid off.
So I literally did the opposite of what Dave Cobb did.
Yeah, but it was funny. It was really funny.
No, that I had forgotten about that memory completely until now. So. But thanks, Dave, for sending that in. That was a pretty awesome story. So let's move on to our next one. It is Kenny from the Grim Grinning Host podcast. By the way, he's driving while he recorded this, which isn't safe, but it's fine. That's what the background noise is.
Hello, Gabe and Nikki and all the fine listeners of the Theme Park Duo podcasts. It's Kenny from the Grim Grinning Host podcast. So I started thinking about my favorite theme park memories, and I started kicking around the idea of first-time visits to parks. Because when you really break it down and you really start thinking about all it is that goes into the first time you visit a park, it's a truly special occasion that there's so many reasons why visiting a park for the first time is so special. You know, you can watch videos, you can look at pictures, you can read articles, you can talk to people who have been to a park, but it's not until you physically visit yourself that so many things happen that you cannot truly get from all of those other things. And honestly, not to sound too deep or anything, but from that point forward, after you visited a park for the first time, it's never the same after that. Because, you know, like when you visit, there's all these sights and sounds and smells and feels that you just truly could not get until you're there. And then after you've been there, like all your thoughts about that place, you know, from traveling to that geographical location and seeing things surrounding the park, on your way in, or sight lines from outside of the park. It's crazy how much you don't really think about, you take in, and then you just sort of understand on a different level after you visited your first time. So with all that deepness aside, my favorite first time visit park, oh man, that's tough, because I'm a roller coaster guy. So like my first time visiting Cedar Point was truly awesome. Going to Magic Mountain for the first time, like these are places that you sort of daydream so much about going to. And then, like I said, once you get there, it's always just different than you expected because of all those things I mentioned earlier that you can't actually ever anticipate until you experience them firsthand, So those visits were awesome. I mean, obviously the Disney stuff is great. There's nothing quite like visiting a Disney park for the first time. I myself just went to Disneyland for the first time in 2019. And I mean, that's an amazing experience to take that in as an adult. Over at Disney World, a lot of those parks I visited as a kid, so I don't really have too much recollection of my first visit. But I have to say, I think my absolute favorite first time visit, it just has to be Universal Resort in Orlando. Universal in Orlando, it has been, ever since my first visit, my absolute favorite place in the world. And there's a reason I continuously go back year after year, sometimes multiple times. And to go along with it, my first time visit to Halloween Horror Nights was a truly special memory that I have. But just that first whirlwind kind of day of having one day at the resort, a park hopper pass, and knowing like, oh my God, there is so much we have to do. We did not budget nearly enough time. We obviously are going to have to come back here twice yearly for the rest of our lives. Obviously, that's obviously the plan after this. That's the only move going forward after you go one day and realize you did not spend enough time there. It's to dedicate an entire life of going back way too many times. So yes, that I have to say is at least one of my favorite theme park memories. There's too many. I mean, come on. Gabe told me to he's like, man, listen, man, I know you can talk. Keep it within a few minutes. And I'm looking at this 4 minutes already. It's coming up on 5 minutes. I got to cut this short. So yes, thanks for listening to my ramblings. And I'm sure I'll be giving my ramblings again in the future. Thanks.
Sir Kenny, I will take your ramblings any day. But I think he's really spot on with what he was kind of talking about at the beginning is, when you visit these places for the first time, there's such an attack on your senses. There's sights, there's sounds, there's smells. Depending on the weather, you feel the heat on you, or the wind blowing, or the rain falling on you. There's just so much happening all at once that it's really hard to kind of take it all in because it's such an overload.
Yeah.
And especially at a place like Disney or Universal, where they're trying to get you in there, and it's funny that he kind of started talking about not really remembering his first visits to Disney World because he was a young kid.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a very similar situation with me, where I don't remember my first visit to Disneyland. I don't remember my first visit to Knott's or Universal.
Yeah.
I have very vague memories of trips, but I don't know if they were my first trips.
Yeah.
But as an adult, experiencing that particular feeling of going into a place that I don't know anything about other than what I've been told or what I've watched is such a unique, interesting experience. And specifically, talking about Magic Kingdom and going to Magic Kingdom for the first time, in the California head of mine, I'm like, okay, well, it's Disneyland on a bigger scale with different rides. It isn't. It's so different than that, and I knew that it wasn't.
Yeah.
But until, like you said, until you experience it, you don't know. and going into Liberty Square and just being like, what is this?
Yeah.
And
This
then-
isn't supposed to be here.
And having
See,
Haunted
yeah.
Mansion where Thunder Mountain is, and then just like a whole bunch of stuff. It is just a complete whirlwind of emotions and thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, and then the brand new parks where we have no frame of reference for, like Animal Kingdom and Epcot and Hollywood Studios, and then it's weird. It's like what's Star Tours doing here? And
Yeah.
it's weird, but it's a gift to be able to have those first time experiences later in life, and even with Universal Studios Florida, and it's something that we take for granted here,
especially going to Disneyland so often, Knott's Berry Farm so often, and things like that.
Yeah.
Even talking about Universal Orlando Resort and our first trip there, or rather my first trip there. You had gone previously.
I don't count that because
you were just tagging along.
No, I was with a friend and her family on their trip to Walt Disney World, and we had half a day free the day we landed. And so we're big Harry Potter fans. Hogsmeade just opened in Florida. So we're like, oh my gosh, just opened. We don't have it in California yet. This is amazing. We have to go. And so, straight off the plane, I'm not even sure if we went to our hotel first, but we went straight there, and it was at opening, and literally we just followed the throng of people cutting through Seuss Landing. I didn't even know where I was or what was happening.
See, but that's funny because when we went, you're like, I didn't know any about this.
I had blinders on. It was only Hogsmeade. Hogsmeade is life. Hogsmeade is the only thing that exists. We spent all morning in Hogsmeade. We went over to excuse me for not knowing the right terms, but the comic book area where Hulk is.
Marvel Superhero Island.
Superhero Island. We went over to
Superhero
We went over to Marvel Superhero Island for a hot second. I'm not even sure what we rode.
You probably rode Hulk.
I think no.
You probably rode Hulk
I think we rode Spider-Man.
I feel like your reaction based on your reaction of when we rode it.
Yeah.
I think you rode Hulk.
I think you are overestimating my memory.
Probably.
Yeah. I am like a sieve. I only keep certain things, and they're not always the most important things. So
I had a churro.
So yeah, but then I remember we stayed there. We rode maybe one or two things, and then we just looked at each other and we're like, you want to go back to Hogsmeade, don't you? We're like, yes, we do. So then we just went. So literally, we didn't visit Universal. We visited Hogsmeade and then left.
Yeah. It's funny when you visit these places for the first time, you only kind of create these very specific images in your head. At least this is how I personally work, because I have a very photographic memory. I only have certain images of the park that are not interconnected.
Yeah.
They're just kind of alone on themselves.
They're like pictures.
They're just like pictures. And then everything in between is blank.
Yeah.
Because I haven't spent enough time there in order to form a full functioning idea of what is the connective tissue between these two things.
Yeah.
And that's something that we have with Knott's Berry Farm and Disneyland and Universal Studios. We know every inch
of
those
the whole
parks.
map.
We have the whole map. We know it like the back of our hands. We can traverse the park without our eyes open.
Yeah.
But going to Magic Kingdom or Animal Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, IOA,
we were the
USF,
tourists with the maps. Yeah.
Now thinking back on it, I'm like, what was in between these two things? I can't even think about it. I know this big thing and this big thing, but what was between that?
Yeah.
And sometimes that bothers me that I can't remember what was in between those things, because I want to.
And you're used to just knowing.
I'm used to knowing.
Yeah.
And it bothers me that I don't.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting aspect to kind of look at those things. And he talked about visiting Cedar Point for the first time. You've been there.
Yeah.
You've visited Cedar Point.
But that once again was an experience of I didn't know to appreciate it.
Yeah.
It was we were on a trip for other reasons. We just happened to be there. We're like, hey, let's go to this theme park. Oh, look, they have a big ride. So I rode whatever that big crazy ride is there. I didn't know at the time that it was like the craziest
fastest,
ride ever.
Tallest, whatever.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. So it was like
But I also think that's what's so great about being able to experience these things as adults.
Yeah.
Is that we understand the meaning behind it. As kids, we go to all these places and it's fun, but the gravity of visiting these places are lost on us as kids. And now that we're adults and being able to spend our own money to go to these particular places, those moments and those memories become that much more special.
Yeah, we appreciate it on a different level.
Yeah. So we get you, Kenny.
Yeah.
We get you and your ramblings.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to move on to our next submission.
Hey, guys. Love the show. When I was thinking about my favorite theme park memory, it's tough to choose just one. I grew up going to Knott's, Disneyland, once, maybe twice a year. But when I think about it, my favorite memory probably has to be my first time going to Haunt. It was 1993, and my dad took me and four of my best friends, dropped us off across the street at the McDonald's, and told us good luck, and took off. And so we headed over, got in line at the main gate, and when they let us in, from Ghost Town, the fog was just billowing out and the screams from it, and none of us had ever been before. And of course, back then there was no YouTube, there was nothing that you could see, so you knew what you were doing, you knew what was coming. The only thing I knew about it was that my sister's birthday was the end of September, and we would always go to Knott's for her birthday. And while we were there, they were setting up for Haunt, so they would have the little marquees on the log ride or whatever saying, hey, this ride's being set up for whatever annual Halloween Haunt. So we got to see some of the props put in and stuff. And I would always ask my dad, like, what is this? This is incredible. It's really cool looking. And he would explain that Knott's does a big Halloween party. And, when you're older, you can go. And so freshmen in high school, we were old enough to go, I guess. So we went. And, just remember walking into Ghost Town, and the fog was so thick we couldn't see ahead of us. And everyone's screaming, and it was chaos and monsters popping right in our faces and terrifying us, and just taking off, running down through Fog Alley, and we went straight to the log ride, which that year was Terror Mountain. And just not being prepared for as many monsters inside that mountain, jumping out at us at all points. We even remember a guy jumping out with a chainsaw by where the water gag is. It was a blast. I remember, to this day, my favorite maze was Revenge of the Dead, that I believe was where the gasoline alley used to be under Soapbox Racers. And we ended up actually going on that one, the very last one of the night, like right before it closed. So we were the last ones let in, and it took forever. It was a good 15-minute maze, it seemed like. It actually seemed like a half an hour. And as we're going through there, we were just being terrorized by these monsters. And I remember at one point, one of my friends was actually grabbed and dragged off into a corner somewhere by one of the monsters, and us just being too scared and petrified to help him just took off running, and eventually he caught up with us. But, it was a great night, and it changed my life forever. And now every time I go to Haunt, I'll have a great time, but I'm always chasing that first time high. You're always chasing that first time. Like it was the best. And we saw Elvira for the first time, and it was a blast, and I have a lot of theme park memories, like the first time going to Disney World, was pretty incredible. But I think the first time at Knott's Scary Farm for Haunt has to be my favorite one. So, love the show. You guys are doing great. Yeah. And I'll talk to you guys soon.
I love that one.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
I'm glad someone did a Haunt submission.
I love it so much. Oh my God. You made me tear up. You jerk. I have a lot of really good memories of Haunt.
Yeah.
Why am I getting emotional
you
about
are?
Haunt?
Because it's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. It is partially because it's been a long time, but I do think that Haunt means a lot to me.
It does. It does mean a lot too. The first time I went to Haunt was when you took me. So that adds a whole different...
I love that.
Yeah. So that adds a whole other layer of, the specialness of haunt. You know, now it's like an us thing too. You know, it's a very special event. Like there are, you know, Halloween events at several places. There is nothing like
and we
haunt.
go to them.
We do. We go.
But
We
it's
we
not
have
the same.
compared several. There
Yeah,
is nothing like haunt. It's
It really
so
is.
special.
Tell the people listening. I know this already, but tell the people listening what your first, you know, time going to haunt was like for you.
It was just overwhelming. It was fun. It was.
By the way, her only experience was Halloween Horror Nights. You know, she had only
Yeah.
gone to
Oh
that.
no, I went to Six Flags too.
And Fright Fest.
Fright Fest was, you know, slightly better. Like in my opinion, at the time, the scares were better at Fright Fest than at Horror Nights. But
Your opinion of Horror Nights hasn't changed at all.
no, it hasn't. Impressive, but weak on the scares. Yeah, no, it was like overwhelming because I thought I knew what to expect.
I kept telling you, I was like, it's really different.
Yeah.
It's not going to be what
and
you've expected.
And I
from your
wasn't
experience.
like now, you know, we're so
Desensitized.
used to it. We're desensitized, you know. I know what scares
Like
to
he said,
expect and
chasing
where.
the high.
Yeah. But oh my gosh, that was like it was like so just overwhelmed. Like it hit all my senses all at once, and it was just like I was just clinging to you, and I was getting scared by everyone, and I was that girl that they all knew, like, oh, she'll get scared.
Yeah.
And they were all scaring me, and it was just it was so much fun. And I remember it was Carnival.
Yeah.
I remember riding what's the little mouse coaster?
Surf Rider.
Surf Rider. We were riding Surf Rider and just watching. And this was also like, apart from getting scared, this event made me fall in love with watching other people get scared.
Yeah.
Because I remember being on that ride and watching a clown scare and chase a girl from one end of the boardwalk all the way to the other. She abandoned everyone she was with. He just was relentless.
God, it's so good.
And I
It's
was
so good.
like, literally, like this car was like moving all over the place. So I was like, no, I have to keep track of that clown. So it was just, I fell in love instantly.
I definitely remember my first time going to haunt, and I'm sure I've shared this story on the show before, but I'll reiterate it again for all the new listeners. But I was in high school, much older than I should have been. I wish I went when I was younger to have experienced more. But I went in high school, and my friends wanted to go. And I was, as I mentioned before, a huge scaredy cat. So I was hesitantly interested in going because you see the commercials, you see all this stuff on TV, you hear people talking about it. You know, haunt was very much that murmur in Southern California. It's like, oh, have you been? Have you done it? It felt like a rite of passage to go to haunt. You know, at least from my perspective, it really felt that way. I know a lot of people who would agree. So, you know, we didn't show up at opening, which bothers me to this day because I'm the person who's like camping out 3 hours before opening to get there first day of haunt.
Oh yeah,
to get the first whiff of the haunt fog. And we showed up. I think we showed up like at 9 or something like that. And we're walking on the side of the park. And for those of you who haven't been to Knott's Berry Farm, there's no brim.
Yeah,
like there is at Disneyland. So it's sidewalk, fence, knots,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like some plants growing on that fence. But you hear everything. You could see a lot of stuff, and you 100% see the fog, like kind of like wafting up into the air.
Mm-hmm.
And I specifically remember walking along it and just hearing so much screaming, so much screaming, and I was so scared. And I remember getting up to the gate, going through the gate. I was like, okay, there's no monsters. I'm good. I think this was before they were allowed like right up at the gate.
Yeah.
But like I've had experience of monsters like right up at the gate.
Right at the gate, yeah.
And we go into Ghost Town, which I feel like everybody's experiences start with Ghost Town.
Yeah.
That is the essential scary area. That is where everything was birthed from. And I remember walking in, being on edge, really nervous. And there was this lion cowboy looking dude who's like chilling on the fence. He has his arm like wrapped around the fence like this, like laying back, kind of taking in the victims and the people who we wanted to focus on. I was trying really hard to be that that cool kid who was like, I'm not scared, but also keeping my eyes on him, like trying to make sure I knew where he was at all times.
Yeah.
And he just locked eyes with me. And I regretted every second of looking at him because he was not letting go of that eye contact, because those characters are so damn good.
Yeah.
They know it. They can feel it in their bones when somebody is scared. And they'll take full advantage of that. And he did that with me. He just stared at me for the longest time. And I'm pretty sure I stopped walking.
Yeah.
But all my friends kept walking because I was just that scared. And literally all he did was, like, he just like lurched off of it and like jerked his body at me to like if somebody's like you're trying to make somebody flinch.
Yeah.
And I lost it. And I screamed and I ran back to my friends. And from there on out, I was completely hooked. Completely hooked. And I've been a hunt fanatic since that day. And there's a lot of really fun memories, like taking people to hunt for the first time. Our friend Eric, who was on the show last season, who hadn't been to Disneyland ever, hadn't been to hunt, so I made him go to hunt with us. And he thinks that's like one of the best things that he's ever experienced. You know, going with you, making friends with some of the monsters, you know, having to deal with Merrick on every visit, who by the way, nobody knows this, but Merrick is the monster name for this guy. You know, everybody gets like a haunt name. His haunt name is Merrick, and he is probably one of the best. And he's relentless.
He is. This is big praise. He's the only one that still freaks me out.
Yeah, it isn't like just like a jump scare type of thing.
Yeah.
It's like he gets in your head.
Yeah.
Like he really gets
it's just because
I've
seen
him make people cry.
Well, it's just because I know, like, we know so many of them now that
his name's Adam in real life. Yeah, and Adam is the most like,
let me finish a sentence, Gabe.
I'm just excited. We're talking about haunt.
I know, but you can't cut every sentence off. No, he's the only one that still freaks me out because we know so many of them now, and they'll break character and be like, "Hey, what's up?" You know, or "Hi," you know, and just say hi, but they won't really scare us. He's the only one that still tries to scare us.
He tries very hard. Like we're eating at Ghost Town Grill, and he's coming up from behind us,
or at least unsettle us.
He's very unsettling.
Yeah,
because it's like that first monster experience. If I make eye contact with Merrick, he'll come over.
Oh yeah,
and he won't let up until we leave the area.
One time
he followed.
One time he just screamed, "Nikki!"
from the fog.
From the fog. I couldn't see him, but he could see me. That was like, okay, here we go.
Those are phenomenal memories. And then also just from haunt, you know, being able to meet and know some of the people who build these things and who build them out. You know, from sound design to, you know, the art side of things, to monsters. Just there's a lot of memories tied into haunt. So many memories tied into haunt, and I could talk about that. Could be a whole episode on itself, talking about memories from Scary Farm.
It could be.
But thank you for sending that in. That I'm surprised you were the one to make me cry. Just getting a little emotional there, but I'm good. I've composed. I'm sure I'll cry one more time. But on to the next one from our good friend, Rick West.
Gabe and Nikki, how are you? Thank you so much for having me join your podcast virtually. I hope that you guys are safe and secure in your new home. And man, I really look forward to the day that we get to sit across the table from each other and shoot the stuff about theme parks and have a drink and laugh and just look eyeball to eyeball. So there are brighter days ahead. But in the meantime, you asked me to relay a favorite theme park memory. Now, I'm an old guy, and I have lots of theme park stuff under my belt from growing up in Southern California and attending all the theme parks with my grandfather from the ripe old age of 2 all the way to I worked at Disneyland and at Knott's Berry Farm as a cast member and as an employee. And boy, then I created Theme Park Adventure in 1994. And then 10 years ago, I became a professional in the themed entertainment industry. So lots and lots of stuff to unpack there. Way too much for a quick soundbite. But I'll leave you with 2. I'll give you 2 that are unique, that I think are fun, and probably won't be touched on by anybody else, because they're not me. Anyway, okay, so the first one is going to go back to the summer of 1993, the opening of Mickey's Toontown in Anaheim at Disneyland. I was there. It was about a year before I started Theme Park Adventure, but I was still a huge fan. I was an annual pass holder at that point, and was there photo documenting the opening of Toontown. We'd watched it under construction, so a friend and I were there, and we checked it out. And while we were doing all the things, pushing the plungers, pulling the knobs, pressing the buttons, doing all the cool things that made Toontown so unique, really captured an incredible moment that kind of was like a scene where everything else is going in regular speed, but the center of the screen is like in slow motion, like a Matrix shot or something. Mark Davis, Disney legend Mark Davis, years before I even knew him, was there to see Mickey's Toontown, and it was hotter than hell. There was no shade, very few places to sit in Toontown, and somebody, fortunately, brought a folding chair for Mark out into the middle of the area. He was sitting in the middle of the land, kind of facing Cartoon Spin, and he was propped up. His chin was resting on his hands, which were on top of his cane, and he was kind of propped up, just taking it all in. I'm sure that Alice, his wife, was somewhere very close because she was very protective of him and always nearby. But it was just Mark, man. It was just Mark, and he was sitting in the middle of the land, just kind of taking it all in and surveying it and just looking at it through a very critical eye, I'm sure. And it was just a moment where there were people walking all around. You know, this was before the internet. This was before social media. So unless you really knew who Mark Davis was from magazine articles or whatever, you just didn't know. And so there were hordes of fans and hordes of guests walking around him like he didn't even exist. There was nobody coming up to him taking a picture. There was nobody asking for an autograph. It was crazy. And so, but that is my memory from the opening of Mickey's Toontown. Mark Davis sitting there by himself, totally in the open, but like completely invisible to everybody, sitting there taking it all in. You know, I mentioned this to him years later when we became friends, and I don't even remember the conversation about Toontown. So that's where the story ends, but that's what makes it so damn cool, is that Mark Davis was spotted in the wild, and nobody knew the better. And there the man, the greatest Imagineer of all time, arguably, sat checking it all out. The next one would be also related to the Davises. It was for, I want to say I was there in attendance for the Pirates of the Caribbean's 35th anniversary. I think that would have been in 2000, and it would have been months after Mark Davis died. And at that point, I was very good friends with the Davises and very close with Alice, and I met her there. She wanted me to ride. So they had a ceremony. God, I think it was the 35th anniversary. I don't remember, but that seems about right in the timeline. They had a little ceremony outside of Pirates, and Alice was in attendance, as was Exitencio and other people that worked on Pirates. And I was there, and Alice, I said hi to Alice, and she asked if I was going to ride, and I said, well, you know, right now they're doing VIPs, you know, for the ride and all that. And she said, well, you're a VIP, you're my partner, you're my friend, we're going to go on Pirates. So it was actually a moment that I got to go on Pirates of the Caribbean with Alice Davis and Exitencio. And the funny thing is, so she introduces me to X, and it was the only time that I ever met X. So I'm like wetting my pants, trying not to fanboy. And she said, X, I want to introduce you to a very good friend of mine. I think she said ours, because she was still referring to she and Mark. She said, I want to introduce you to a really good friend of ours. This is Rick West, and he's the one that did that fantastic book on Pirates of the Caribbean. And I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm going to have a full-on conversation with Exitencio right here. We were waiting on the unload dock. We were waiting for a boat that we were all going to load into. And I thought, this is it, man. This is going to be the greatest conversation and ride ever with Alice and with X on Pirates of the Caribbean. And I said, X, it's an honor to meet you. And he just looked at me and said, oh. And that was it. So awkward turtle, but he sat in front of us on the ride, but I did sit next to Alice, and we rode Pirates. So I rode Pirates with Alice and with X, and did not hit it off great with X. Never had a chance to really talk to him ever after that. But it was a cherished memory that I have with Alice. And so there you go. There are 2 stories. I hope they serve you well, and I hope they tide you and your listeners over until we can sit together and talk about them old theme park days. Because, God, dude, there are so many amazing memories. We could do an entire episode just unpacking Rick's bag o' memories about the theme parks. So anyway, be well, be safe. There are brighter days ahead. Remember, if you're listening and you're struggling, you are not alone. It's been really, really rough for all of us. And so there are better and brighter days ahead. You guys take care, stay safe, keep smart, and we will talk and be together very soon. Much love to everybody. Bye-bye.
I love the positive sign off.
Yeah.
And it's true. You know, it has been very rough for everybody during this COVID period. So no, you're not alone, through any of this. So if anything, hopefully this episode is bringing some smiles and light and brightness into your day when you're listening to it.
It's bringing us smiles.
Yeah, and tears apparently.
Yeah.
But no, that
story was hilarious.
As much as it is awkward, oh my God, that's such a story.
Yeah.
Oh.
I
wonder what he did to make X respond that way. But I mean, that's so cool, being able to ride Pirates with X and Alice Davis. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And then also just being able to see Mark Davis not being bothered.
Yeah.
We live in an age now where everything is public, everything's online. People know everybody, they can research things so quickly. And then specifically us, our age range, we started to grow up with it.
Yeah.
We weren't born with the internet there and working at the capacity that it is now. The kids have these days. It's normal to them.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of grew up with that. And we didn't necessarily have that when we were younger. We had to go out of our way to learn those things. I specifically had to go out of my way to learn things about Disneyland or Knott's Berry Farm or Universal because I didn't have the internet.
Uh-huh.
And at that time, I didn't know who these people were.
Mm-hmm.
And I could have seen them at Disneyland and I would have had
You
no
never
idea,
would have known.
which kills me.
Yeah.
But you see people like, that's Joe Rohde, I'm going to go hunt him and
Yeah.
find him in Animal Kingdom to take a picture with him. Or, that's Tony Baxter, or that's Marty Sklar, or, all these things when it comes to the Disney, the kind of realm of Imagineers and history. So that's pretty cool to picture Mark Davis sitting there and no one bothering him.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's something that I can't even fathom happening.
Because it wouldn't
I'm
nowadays.
so
Yeah.
used to it, of people going up to bother people.
Mm-hmm.
You know me, I don't want to bother anybody.
Yeah.
But if I did have the opportunity to say something to somebody, I'm going to be really brief about it.
Yeah.
I ain't going to spend a bunch of time bothering them, So those are really incredible memories. And I think he's right. We could do a total, full episode of Rick's Bag o' Memories.
I would love that episode. With a margarita.
I'm sure that
no chips and salsa. They're too loud.
I'm sure, very much so. Unless you mix them together and let them get soggy.
No.
And then you eat it with a spoon.
Who are you?
Hi, I'm Gabe.
I'm
I'm your husband.
No. Not with those words.
I'm sure Rick's Bag o' Memories also come with drinks, so I'm not concerned.
That's why, yeah.
Yes. But yeah, no, those are absolutely incredible memories. For me in particular, kind of along the same lines of kind of being able to meet your idols or meet people that you appreciate their work and things like that. It wasn't with you. It was with a prior person.
That's okay. Okay.
I was at Trader Sam's. She's horrible and I hate her. We were at Trader Sam's, and that night was the night, I think it was the Thea Awards or some major award thing happened. I'm pretty sure it was the Theas, and they had an after party in Trader Sam's. So basically they told everybody waiting in line, you're not going to come in.
Yeah.
But the people who are already in there, they're like, you could stay. So I look at the door. In walks Pete Docter from Pixar. In walks Tony Baxter. in walks John Lasseter, and like all these major names from Pixar and Disney Imagineering in Trader Sam's with me.
And that's a small room.
That's a small room. And I dorked out hard. And the girl I was with at the time, she did not understand my fascination with, theme parks and Disney and themed entertainment. So she didn't get it. She wasn't as excited as you would have been.
Yeah.
And I went up to John Lasseter and I briefly said hello. I appreciate your work. Just wanted to say hi. And he was very gracious and said hello, had a brief conversation with me. And then I saw Tony Baxter, which I was much more excited about talking with him. Mm-hmm. And he had a full, long conversation with me. And at the time, I was doing a lot of post-PA work in TV. So I was doing a lot of driving. So he and I had a long conversation about our commutes and what freeways we took and
just normal stuff.
How to get there. And just normal stuff. It wasn't about Disney.
Yeah.
It was just shooting the S, talking about life. And for me, that was such a distinct memory of just having a normal conversation. Yeah. And I told him, and I believe I actually told him at the time, I want to be an editor. And for me, editors are telling stories. That's what's intriguing to me about editing, is that I get to tell stories and I get to affect people's emotions in a particular way. And I feel like you guys as Imagineers are doing a very similar thing. Although with different tools, you guys are telling stories and affecting people in a particular way. So I very much look up to the way you guys tell your stories. And that seemed to resonate with him to a certain extent. But, what felt like a 5-minute conversation was probably more like a 20-minute conversation, which was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And then kind of fast forwarding, we were at the Queen Mary doing an event, and he was there.
Yeah.
And he was in our group.
Yeah, he went through a haunted tour with us. Yeah,
and it was a very similar situation again, where he didn't remember me, of course. He meets tons of people all the time. But we just talked and had a normal conversation. He was talking to me about Scary Farm and how much he likes Scary Farm. And Dork me inside is screaming. Like, the girls that screamed in those old videos of them at the Beatles? That's me internally screaming about me talking to Tony Baxter about Scary Farm.
I remember that Queen Mary night just like standing behind you and just being like, Gabe is the happiest guy ever right now.
Which, at the end of all of it, you were like, hey, were you going to ask him to come on the show? And I said, no, I didn't want to ruin it. I didn't want to taint this experience. I wanted to keep it the way it was. And I'm almost certain I used this verbiage as like, I want to keep the memory of this as this.
Yeah,
I don't want to change that.
Yeah, no, it wasn't appropriate.
No, I think it would have been fine if I had asked.
You could have brought it up that you had a show.
But I just didn't want to do that to that memory of mine.
Yeah.
And those are two very distinct memories of meeting Tony Baxter and being able to just be normal with him and talk. And hopefully at some point, maybe down the line, we'll have him on the show. I'd love to have him on the show just to talk about, we'd have him on the show, just talk about freeways again.
Yeah.
No, just to have him on the show. I've been toying with trying to get him on to talk about Indiana Jones or just talk about his career in general. Probably just get him on to talk about his career in general and not focus on one thing. But that is an ultimate goal of mine, is to try to get Tony Baxter on the show just so I could talk with him. Because that would be a dream come true, obviously, for any dork like me. But I've had the privilege of meeting him more than once, and that's been pretty incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's an awesome recording there, Rick, and we will take you up on that offer, and we'll do a episode with you once things go back to normal and rub eyeballs together, or whatever the verbiage you said.
I don't want to rub eyeballs.
No rubbing eyeballs?
No.
Why not?
I'll rub my own eyeball and freak you out.
No.
Gabe doesn't like when I touch my eyeball.
That. No.
If you want to freak out Gabe, touch your eyeball.
Don't send pictures of you touching your eyeball to themepark2@gmail.com. Stop it, Nikki.
I'm touching my eyeball.
Stop it. We're going to move on to our next recording. This is from Jonathan at the Hauntline.
Hey there, Theme Park Duo. This is Jonathan from the Hauntline. First of all, great idea for a podcast episode. I can't wait to hear everyone's favorite memories. Mine are definitely from Universal Studios Hollywood, because growing up, I know a lot of people had passes to Disneyland. However, me and my family had passes to Universal Studios Hollywood, so we spent a lot of time there. And this is back in the day when Back to the Future the ride was still around. This is back when Backdraft was still a thing, when the special effects stages were still in the lower lot with the 3 different shows, and when we had E.T. in the park still. And also, can't forget Old Banana Breath King Kong, the original giant animatronic King Kong that shakes the bridge on the studio tour. We had a lot of good times going there. Lots of great times going to Universal Studios. I mean, we would make it a point to start our day with Waterworld. We would go hang out in the park the rest of the day. And every evening, we would make sure to end our trip by hitting up Terminator 2 3D, which, rest in peace, T2 3D. I miss you. I wish I could have seen you one last time before they closed you down, but whatever. I'm not bitter. But yeah, that's it. And also, let's not forget, this is back when they had the refillable popcorn buckets too at Universal Studios. I miss those more than anything. But yeah, just going to the park with my parents. Usually we'd bring a friend of mine along. You'd buy a day, you'd get a year free. And yeah, I definitely miss traveling back in time with Doc and going on the E.T. adventure, and also the OG classic Jurassic Park, which is no longer around, and it's crazy to say that, but definitely Universal Studios Hollywood is always going to have a special place in my heart. All right, guys, thank you.
I can relate so much.
Hard relation there.
But yeah, this
I think a little bit more for you.
No, for me,
for me, yeah.
I grew up like 30 minutes from Universal Studios. Like, Disneyland was your grow up park. Yeah. Universal Studios was my grow up park. Like, I did the buy a day, get a year free. I did the Costco 6 visits for $60 thing. You could buy like insane deals. Like, thinking about it now, it's like, oh my God, how did they do that? Yeah, well, they made money because you bought stuff in the park, but I did that. There were even a few like great years, like when it was just me and my grandma, and we would do the Costco thing every year, and it was just like so fun, just planning out like our 5 or 6 trips, and we just had a blast with it. It was just like a great way to spend a day.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, I miss you, original King Kong. I miss E.T. Like, thank you for sending in the memory, but it just made me so sad because it was all the things we don't have anymore.
Right. Panic Attack City, watching.
I love Backdraft. No,
I had panic attacks watching that.
No, I loved it. You go on Jurassic Park, and then you go dry off in Backdraft.
I understand that, but little me had panic attacks of dying in a fiery death. That was terrifying.
I loved it. I thought it was so neat. But just, oh my gosh. And fun fact, I was so used to Universal and the refillable popcorn buckets that when I went to Disneyland and discovered that they weren't refillable or even refillable for $1, I was like, what is this? What is this robbery?
What monstrosity?
What? Like, I was so furious. It's like, what a ripoff.
That's really funny.
Yeah. There you go.
No, yeah, I wish I remember more of it, but I have amnesia for bashing my head on the back of the car in Back to the Future. No, joking aside, no, I think old Universal Studios Hollywood is so unique and so different.
Yeah.
It's funny because a friend of ours, Jonathan Green, posts a lot of old photos of Universal Studios, which I'm mad at myself for not taking more photos or better photos when I was there. But like Marvel Mania Restaurant or the House of Horrors that's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Or Bedrock Barbecue, which was the Flintstones barbecue. Yeah. Fievel's Playland.
Mm-hmm.
Backdraft, Jurassic Park, like you said, the special effects stage on the lower lot. The white kind of tubular archway over E.T. Adventure.
Yeah.
Things like that. I think the earliest memory of mine is trying to run away from the Universal monsters in between my dad's legs.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot of memories from the Wild West Stunt Show. That thing's gone. There's so much in Universal history that I feel like just goes by the wayside, and people kind of forget that it existed.
Yeah.
Because Universal is
it's notorious not nostalgic.
For
it's just
killing its babies.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care.
Yeah. And I think that's why I have a little bit of a harder time with the changes to the tram tour thing you do. Because I just remember like it back in the day, with like obviously no, I don't remember back like, the very beginning, but
from
even
the before times.
No, but like from, the early 90s when it was like when you could still go across the bridge and the parting of the waters and the earthquake and the original King Kong, of course, and all that stuff. And it just, oh man, I remember loving that so much. I could write it a million times.
I love the tram tour so much.
Oh man.
And it didn't have screens in it, everything was practically done. And there's charm to that. And just one by one, those things kind of fell off. Even the kind of like the spinning tunnel at the end of the tram tour, which I think went through a variety of different layovers.
Yeah.
And the last one it was before they got rid of it was the Revenge of the Mummy
with Whoopi.
Who gets covered in scarab beetles, and then the whole tunnel is spinning, and it's terrifying.
I don't even know if this is an unpopular opinion because it wasn't that great on its own, but I even liked the original Fast and Furious thing they had.
I completely 100% agree.
Yeah.
And you want to know the reason why? The reason why I like it more isn't because it was more thrilling or cooler to look at. I liked it because it focused on making movies.
Yeah, it was a demo.
It was a demo of
what
how they
stunt
used
cars
the
look like.
It was
it was cheesy. Yeah, they played that Gasolina song at the end.
Yo tengo gasolina.
And the cars danced, but it showed a practical effect. It showed what you would see in a movie. Now, granted, you probably won't see that many movies now because it's all CG, but it showed actual movie making.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could argue that the CG stuff is actual movie making nowadays too, but it's different. It's different.
It's a different kind of.
You can't make a CG park, people.
Or can they?
Oh my god!
You just gave Universal their next idea.
You don't even have to leave your couch.
You just put on this headset.
$70 ticket still.
And guess what? They'll still have water effects and flame effects and everything else. They just built it into your home.
The popcorn is not refillable.
But I can just get up and get it. No, you're not allowed to get up. Not allowed to get up. No, old school Universal Studios Hollywood has so much character.
Yeah.
So much character. And if you guys aren't aware of like all those cool things that the park used to have, I implore you to do a little bit of research and check out what the park used to be. Pretty unique.
Yeah.
Pretty unique. So next up, we have a recording from the Grim Grinning Hosts podcast. Get comfortable in your seat, people, because they broke my few-minute rule. Big time.
So on the request of our good friend Gabe and Nikki over from the Theme Park Duo podcast, we were asked to hop on real quick and talk about our theme park memories. Basically those things that when you think about a certain event, a certain time, a certain attraction, brings us back, gives us those good, warm, cozy feelings, which is super funny because the most distinct memory to me of all of us, it's HHN 28, baby. Getting in line for Poltergeist in one giant line. Oh, man, just burn into my memory. And I know for a fact that was all four of us, which makes it especially special. And like not only just us, but like the entire I guess we're going to give away our secret. The entire what we call the John Goblikon fan club, which is a very niche reference, but that was all of us that night going into Poltergeist after Stay and Scream.
This is when Connor hit the floor in that house.
Yes, this was the infamous. Oh, it's Theme Park Duo. We're fine. This is the infamous ghost vagina scene in the Poltergeist house.
Was he wearing his headphones in there? Doesn't he always wear headphones when he goes through the?
Oh, that's right. That was the same night that we did the Halloween house and the music cut out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we went from Poltergeist to Halloween, didn't we? Like that was our logic, is Halloween's gonna have a crazy wait because of Shrek, and we all went over there.
Mm-hmm. Brad, was this the trip? Did you take a trip? What didn't your friend look like Fred Durst?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I mean it's totally true. He absolutely does. I've said that for years. I've known him since high school and joked about that. But yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I ran into you on the bus over from Cabana Bay, and I was like, "Whoa, Brad's hanging with Fred Durst."
You're like, "Hey, driver, take us to the Matthews Bridge."
Kenny, in preparation, he didn't know this, but he's like, finally, and he pulls out, he's got like one of them Wizarding World like dresser robes. Robes is what I meant to say. And he dresser robes, he pulls out his robes, but he pulls out his chest of drawers, and he's ready. His Westmoreland kit finally is getting a little bit of action. He's ready to go. He just left Pandora. No one looked at him weird, so it's fine. It's cool.
That was Kenny that did that. He popped out. He's like, "It's go time," and popped in some of those Westmoreland.
That's exactly right. It was basically like that scene from Power Rangers where all the Zords are coming together, but it was Westmoreland's attire. Kenny is just prepared.
Well, I mean, it would be better than. Do you remember that time at Mardi Gras when we saw All American Rejects? And I'm pretty sure the singer was so high
Hammered?
he could. Yeah, like that dude could barely talk. He could barely stand upright. That was quite a night. And then you guys berated me for going to Hot Dog Hall of Fame afterwards.
We went to the Hard Rock, and I remember that distinctly because it was Adam, Shelby.
Oh yeah, he was all pissed off, wasn't
Kenneth.
he?
Yeah. Because that was like group photo session over in Diagon Alley prior that day. But Kenny brings up the most important part of this conversation. I don't think I've ever seen a worse live band than I've seen All American Rejects that night. Like, I've seen local bands play way better than that. Like small town, like we rehearsed 2 times before our first gig, local bands.
Oh, it was bad. It was really bad. I think that was also the night
right? Or was he on? He was just drunk as shit, or do you think he was on some kind of drugs? I don't even remember that.
I think he might just be that way, to be perfectly honest. I think Tyson. Look, you don't get, dude. Tyson, chicken proteins, all the steroids. It makes sense when you really think about it. I'm gonna send you a PDF later, but like, dude, he was f***ed up. And the most important part of this conversation is, you know who never f***ed up? Boys Like Girls. Boys Like Girls, legitimately one of the most fun shows I've ever been to was at Mardi Gras. So if you're going to bring back pop rock to the event, bring back Boys Like Girls. Thank you.
Thank you.
What about you, Brad? You know what, Brad? I know a really good one. I'll tee it up here because you can pat me on the back without it seeming that way. You have a certain picture that I took that is still very widely used to this day.
Yeah, man. It's like my most famous picture of myself and a Velociraptor. I love that picture, man. I love it. And I feel like I posted it one time without saying you took it, and I was like, I've never forgot that. And I'm like, shit. I really should have said that he took that picture because it was good. It was good.
It's all good. And you know what's funny is that was the day before we all got together to go through HHN for a little while. That was the exact same time, a couple hours before.
Yeah.
And I remember that very distinctly because we rushed over to Finnegan's to try to get a table to beat the rain. And Kenny got stuck outside the gates in the downpour and showed up. Basically, you know, like the ending of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? That's how Kenny looks wandering in.
Well, this was a tornado day, wasn't it? Like all the tornado warnings?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was with Connor as well. I actually at one point had to reach over and grab Connor by the foot. He was already blowing away. He was being taken away by the wind, and I grabbed him like a goddamn blimp. He was just taking off. I grabbed him, saved his life.
See, I would have used it to your advantage. I would have used it like Link with the parasail in Breath of the Wild and just kind of floated over the arches straight in.
I do have one more quick fun memory. Brad, remember that time we went to Six Flags Great Adventure and Dorney Park in the same day? How long do you reckon we were in Great Adventure? Was it less than an hour? It
was 45 minutes. I'm pretty positive about that. It was really quick. We did like 2 or 3 things at the most, I think.
Yeah, we rode 3 rides. We hit the 3 big rides and we were out. And it was definitely less than an hour. And then we hightailed it to Dorney Park.
Yeah.
Is this where you learned that Brad was a diehard Shania Twain fan?
Oh, yes.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. So we were strolling through Dorney Park, and yeah, he was walking ahead of me. I'm pretty sure he thought I like broke off and went to the bathroom, and I heard him just shouting Shania Twain through the midway of the park. He didn't think anybody was around. I've got it on camera. I recorded
it's
this.
true.
So
It's true.
There's
Just-
evidence.
Just me screaming that don't impress me much and just pointing at all the rides and yeah.
Well, Gabe, that's exactly what you asked for. You should have known what you were getting. So enjoy that. These very sweet memories. You probably thought we were going to talk about churros, pretzels, or some shit. Memories with our kids. I brought my Nintendo 3DS to Magic Kingdom once. That's sweet, right?
Wow.
Okay, have a good one. Thanks for having us.
I don't even have words. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you guys for that. And yes, I knew what we were getting ourselves into by asking you to do that. And I cannot tell you the levels and peaks and valleys of emotions I felt during your storytelling.
It was a literal roller coaster of emotions.
Roller coaster of emotions
Yeah.
through all that, from Shania Twain to 3DS to
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles to the wind almost sweeping them away during a tornado warning at Universal Studios Florida. I have no memories to my recollection that could associate with any of those.
Well, no, I can't. Well, they talked about going to 2 parks in the same day.
Oh yeah, we did do that.
We did.
We did Universal Studios Florida and IOA on the same day.
Yeah, we did Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure.
That's the wind outside. If you
Same
hear
day.
that, it's windy out here.
No, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when we did it over a weekend, but we did Universal, Knott's, and Disneyland all in one weekend.
Yeah.
And then right before our whirlwind trip to Universal, we went to Universal Studios, Hollywood, then hopped on a red eye, went immediately to Universal Studios Florida.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
That was a fun trip.
Yeah.
It definitely was fun. But no ghost vaginas in sight for us.
No.
So definitely different.
Yeah, definitely different.
But thank you guys for giving us a laugh there. Really fun memories of yours going to all those different places. And you guys were lucky. You guys get to all go to horror nights together and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
super fun. And as we've reiterated a bunch of times, it's about the people.
I think if there's anything to take away from this, it's the company you share these trips and memories with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we have one more memory to play. This is a very long episode, everybody.
It's okay.
But these are good. These are very, very good. But this is from our friend Paul from Window to the Magic.
Hey guys, Paul Berry here from the windowtothemagic.com podcast. And I saw online earlier today that you were asking for submissions for favorite memories of Disneyland and greatest moments. And I just had to tell you about mine. Mine was from, well, it was a year or two ago when I went to Disneyland, and you will never believe what actually happened. I went inside. That's right. I walked up, I showed them my annual pass, and I went inside. Isn't that amazing? I miss those days. Oh boy, I cannot wait until Disneyland reopens. All kidding aside, man, do I miss Disneyland. And I'm pretty sure that everybody that's listening to this podcast does as well. Anyway, we do our best over on the Window to the Magic podcast to bring the magic to everyone through binaural audio. And so if you're really missing Disneyland, please come on over and give us a listen. Just make sure you wear headphones because the 3D audio is amazing. Thanks for giving me a moment on your show, and I hope to see you guys at Disneyland or at Knott's Berry Farm real soon. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I would have to say Window to the Magic is pretty dang good
Yeah.
at really putting you into an environment because, like you said, they have that 3D audio, the binaural audio. When you put on the headphones, you close your eyes, it feels like you're there.
Yeah.
It's quite incredible.
Which right now is the
It's a thing to do.
It's a
So
thing
definitely,
to do.
definitely check out to the Magic podcast. Great podcast. So, but yes, actually being able to go into a theme park, unlike our East Coast counterparts, we haven't had anything for a long time.
I was confused at first when he said go inside, and I was waiting. I was like, go inside where? Where'd you get to go?
He got in there.
He just got in.
He got in. He's there now. How great is that? And now there's no annual pass holders. So there's like a double whammy there.
Yeah.
But I think the idea of just being able to go inside right now is kind of the mental state we're in here on the West Coast. Is having not been able to reopen these parks to their fullest extent, at least not yet, or to really at any extent.
Mm-hmm. At this point, it's been a full year. Like, January and February, like everyone that I'm friends with on social media has been like, a year ago today was the last day I was at Disneyland. A year ago today was the last day I was at Knott's. And it's just something I've been seeing so much over the last 2 months.
People miss it.
Yeah.
People miss it, including us. I think on one of the shows, I was like, I don't think I miss it that much because we don't go that often.
Yeah.
But I've reached the point where I'm like, I miss Disneyland.
I'm at the point where I just want to bring Erin back.
Yeah.
She's our daughter. She's at a new stage now. She's 2.5. The last time we brought her, she was 1. And it's just like, I want to see her reactions to things again.
Yeah.
I want her to experience things again.
Above all else, it isn't that I want to go on a particular ride.
Yeah.
Or see a particular show or meet a particular character. It's about being in that environment again.
Yeah.
And there's something so distinctly different about the environment of a theme park and hearing people laugh, hearing people cry, the gleeful smile on people's faces, people running to rides. There's a lot to it.
Hearing people bicker.
Yeah, it's a multifaceted experience.
Yeah,
being able to kind of take in all of that at once is such an incredible experience for I know that a lot of people listening understand that, but if there's somebody out there who's listening to the show who isn't super into theme parks but likes hearing a little bit about it, they don't understand that kind of perspective of things, of taking in just that full experience of just taking in a park.
Yeah.
Without going on a ride, without any of that.
I mean, I think even in the course of our relationship, we've kind of, transferred from every visit needs to be, we need to ride this too. Let's just people watch for an hour.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's just grab some popcorn that we can't refill and people watch for an hour.
Yeah. And especially because Disneyland for us, I feel like there's, like a lot of people, millions of people, there's so much history there for us.
Yeah.
Dates there. I proposed there, taking our daughter there for the first time, going on certain rides for the first time.
Our engagement photos are there.
Engagement photos. There's so much tied to Disneyland for us with regards to memories. There's so much. I remember the entire day being nervous wreck the day I was going to propose to you. Just a nervous wreck the entire day.
And I remember having the best day ever because you were so nervous you didn't have any opinions.
Yeah, I had some opinions.
No, you just let me do whatever I wanted to do all day.
I was the rebel spy that day.
You were, yeah. I've been the rebel spy once. That was another good memory.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just there's so many memories tied with theme parks, and yeah, like it's hard to choose. Like, I've been trying to think about what I was going to say this episode, and it's so hard because there's so many wonderful things that have happened with Erin, with us, and just little nonsense things that happen too that were also just so special,
Yeah, and the thing is, like, hearing everybody's memories and the wide variety of them kind of unlocked memories for us too.
Yeah.
And I think that's something special about being able to kind of share these experiences with everybody. So thank you everybody who shared with us.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody in this community can put themselves in those shoes and then eventually unlock the memories for themselves of what they've experienced if they happen to forget them.
Yeah.
And that happened with us. And actually just talking right now reminded me of a memory from Disneyland. I was with my friend Brittany, and we were there together and hanging out all day, and it was the end of the night, closing of Disneyland. We were walking from somewhere in the back of like by Matterhorn or really far back by Toontown. Actually, it was Toontown because I remember we laid down at the entrance of Toontown and we were watching the fireworks go off back there. And we were walking by and we saw a wheelchair. And we're like, oh, somebody left the wheelchair here. We should probably take it to the front for them, because they left it here. So she gets into the wheelchair and we're just futzing around with it, jumping off of sidewalks and swerving and doing all this stuff. And we finally get to the front. We give them the wheelchair and we're starting to walk away. And I see her kind of like look back at the wheelchair and like with like a confused look on her face. I said, what's wrong? She goes, what color are Disneyland wheelchairs? It's like, I think they're like a turquoise, like a bluish green. And they say Disneyland on the back. She goes, that wheelchair was black. We took somebody's wheelchair and took it to the front.
You're horrible people.
So they had no wheelchair to get back. It's things like that, like silly memories like that, or incredible memories where I propose to you.
I have a memory that I
a lot
forgot.
Of stuff like that.
And I don't even know how I forgot this because it's such a bizarre thing. I walked through Disney California Adventure in a ball gown, hair up.
Oh, because of, what's it called?
Yeah.
Rainbow.
So if you're familiar with like the Masonic organizations, there's the Masons, there's the Eastern Star for women and Masons, and then there's youth groups, and I was in one of the youth groups, and our formal attire that we wear to things is, dresses and for the fancy things, like you wear like really big hoop dresses. And I happened to be like a head of state in the youth group that year. And we were invited to go to this Masonic event, which was like a dinner that was in like a back lot area of California Adventure. And we got to see the Aladdin show with like just us, like after hours. They put on a special show just for us. But we had to walk to the dinner while the park was still open.
Yeah.
So I walked in the gates of Disneyland, or not Disneyland, California Adventure, and then down the Hollywood Street, towards that weird sky thing. Yeah. And then by Tower of Terror, out to the backlot area where our dinner was. And I just like my hair was up. I had this little crown thing in my hair and full ball gown, and like literally from like, the king and I, like it was so big, and I just remember thinking like, this is bizarre. This is like, I'm never going to experience this again.
Shorts,
but also it's like, this isn't allowed. You're not supposed to dress up at Disneyland. You're not supposed to, like this is weird, it's like, and everyone's looking at me. They're like, who is she? Is she a new princess? I don't recognize her. And I just remember it being so weird. And I was like smiling at everyone, like, just try to be nice. Maybe they'll just think you're a weird princess. And like, it's just so weird. And then just like being in the, where you're usually in like, sweaty, I've been in these all day, like shorts, jeans and shirts, and like sitting watching the Aladdin show. I was like in a ball gown, just like sitting in the foldy chair.
Those are small seats too for a big dress like that.
Oh, I took up one in like the back rows in the front. I was like spread out, but it was fun, and it was a surreal experience.
And to end the memory segment, at least for now, hopefully we'll have another episode where we talk with Rick and things like that. But one memory I want to share, and this will be the last one, is when we took Erin to Goofy's Kitchen.
Oh,
and that was such a fun experience because at that time, it was right when she started to get really interactive and like kind of babble and tried to communicate.
Yeah.
You could tell looks in her eyes when she was talking about things.
It was right after Christmas 2019.
Yeah. So we took her to Goofy's Kitchen. We were like, okay, this will be a really good gauge of how she'll do in the parks when meeting characters and things like that.
Yeah.
Because they're like right here with you. So like we go in, we're getting the food and stuff like that. She has food. And I think she catches eye of the characters and she seems a little nervous.
She got more courageous with each one that came by. Yeah. So she liked, she liked them. She would say hi.
Food.
She tried to feed Minnie. She booped one of their noses, and she just became more and more comfortable with them as they came by.
I think the last one that kind of came by was I think it was either Chip or Dale. It was one of the two.
Yeah.
And she had finished eating at this point. We took her out of her seat to give him a hug, and she gave him the longest hug known to man, and then let go, looked up at him, and then hugged him again.
Uh-huh.
And we have video of this. She actually did that like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And
We should
it was
post the video.
Cutest video
Mhm.
ever. And just watching my kid be absorbed in that moment was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That's one of those memories as a parent
Yeah.
you won't forget.
Yeah.
And you have that video, and then when she's older, getting married, be like, "Hey, dude, look at this video of your wife being a little girl."
Oh my god, whoever she ends up with, it's gonna be so funny because
Yes.
it's just like there's so much footage.
So
much footage. We're gonna be those parents, not showing them an album, showing them like a whole PowerPoint presentation, like
of different ages.
Yeah.
It'll
But
be
yeah,
fun.
no, oh
But
my
yeah,
gosh. I think
that's such a
we're
good
just
one.
starting the journey of our favorite memories with Erin, and I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really fun next few years, going to the parks and building all new memories with her in that
Mhm.
way. So really excited to looking forward to that. But thank you everybody for listening to this extra long episode of the Theme Park Duo podcast. Hopefully you really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We thoroughly enjoyed this because we didn't listen to these recordings until now.
Yeah.
When we recorded it. So this is all fresh reactions to these things.
And maybe it made you remember a few, little things that happen in your life at the parks that you might have forgotten about.
Yeah, exactly. So a nice trip down memory lane for everybody.
Yeah.
But thank you again, everybody, for listening to the show. Thank you for people who have left us reviews and ratings on iTunes. Of course, as I always say, thank you for doing that. It helps us out. It's a free way of supporting the show because by doing those things, by leaving a rating and review, it raises us up higher in the standings. It makes it easier for people to enjoy us like you are right now. And if you haven't, make sure you follow us on social media. I'm on there all the time, teasing episodes, talking with people, talking theme parks all the time. So you could find us at Theme Park Duo on all platforms. So that's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And if you want to reach out to the show, you want to talk to us, talk about a topic that you want to hear, or something that you thought about when listening to the show, or anything you want, if you want to just say hi, make sure you email us at
themeparkduo@gmail.com.
Yes, and thank you again, everybody, once again. Always remember,
There's always a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. See ya.
Thanks for riding with the Theme Park Duo. Make sure to gather all your belongings before the end of the podcast. Bye-bye.